Hello, everyone. Welcome. I hate that. Never mind. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first edition of Design Dorks Gaiden. That was a reference to the wizard, don't you know? Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is just a little thing because I decided, screw it. I just want to talk about video games, and I want a capstone on my life. And I'm like, Duke, you want to make this content? And he was like, yeah, sure. You don't need to talk. I can talk for you. I am here. I am Pyrr Kong, your host with the most, and with me is my co-host, the man with the master plan, the man who looks at anime and decides to burn it all down, and from its ashes he will make a freezing slush to bring back the blizzards of old, even though they have been on the decline since at least 2002. The Duke of Dorks.
I don't know if I can live up to that kind of intro, man, but yeah, the Duke of Dorks here. Happy to be here. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah. You want to give me a title?
Oh gosh, Grandmaster of all video game recommendations, right-hand man of Donkey Kong himself, the DK crew, quartermaster, and... edit out this pause. I can do... God damn it, no.
We'll take it. But yeah, guys, so we wanted to take a chance like every month or so to just look back at all the games that we've been playing, give just a couple of opinions, reflect on, videos, stuff we're looking forward to, all that kind of thing. Just have a nice conversation about video games. So, it's just like a regular podcast, except we're calling it the spin-off.
Exactly. Yeah, the thing about, our avenue of making content is that there's just an awful lot that we can't make content about, especially with how long it takes for us to make our respective videos. There's a lot just falls through the cracks, a lot of cool games that we just get to play, and we can't really make anything about this. Either it would take too long to talk about, or nobody would watch it, or just any number of problems like that. So we thought, especially after the end of year video we did, this would be a nice way to just talk about those random things.
Exactly. And hey, maybe you'll sit around and discover something, or maybe you've already clicked off and have stopped listening. In which case, screw those people.
Yeah. Don't want to learn anything new, don't want to get recommendations or anything, just want to stay in Smash Brothers the entire time? Come on. There's an entire world of video games out there.
I say as I save this script that I wrote about Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I'm making one as well. It's because that's what's successful.
You gotta put just little pieces in there, just little bits. They'll never know how much I love Snake otherwise.
Exactly. Apologize for if any coughing fits get through there. COVID has cursed me with an eternal dry cough now, so that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'll be great. He'll be shackled with that burden for the remainder of his days.
Yep, I can only record audio for 5 minutes at a time before I have to take a break for regular videos, so this is gonna be fun.
What we're going to do is we're going to go over all of the games that we've gone through in the past month and a half or so. Just talk about them, just have a nice little tete-a-tete about it. I don't know how that's pronounced, but it came to mind, so screw it. And then just, have a comfy back and forth. Just talk about video games. So,
Exactly, discuss a few, what's coming in the next month, any gaming news that happened in the past, and then maybe throw in a little bit of extra stuff we've done outside of video games to wrap things up.
Yeah, at the end of these, we're going to go ahead and take comments from the audience. Just feel free to leave them in the comments section. I don't know, maybe put in a hashtag DDG comment or something akin to that if you want it specifically to be read on the show, as opposed to just a comment for comment's sake. We might just pick it out anyway, but, it's nice to have organization.
Yeah, any questions or just ideas, whatever pops to your mind that you'd like us to give our thoughts about.
Yep, no promises unless it's really good or really bad.
Yeah,
they'll be read, but you have a shot. You're in the raffle.
Exactly. With that out of the way, want to just start talking about video games?
Yeah, let's talk about video games.
Alrighty. I'm going to cover a couple of small things first. Just a couple of small things. There's a small indie game called Wildermyth.
Okay.
A very delightful little turn-based adventure game. I'd kind of compare it to probably Fire Emblem is the closest thing, just that kind of turn-based combat. Divinity's another game that'd be kind of close to it, if anybody knows that. And it did this really cool thing with evolving the storytelling is told through your characters, but it's a very how do I put this? It evolves based on what you choose in the game, so there's not really a set narrative, more just very small interactions that characters can have, and those will branch out into further character interactions, and those will branch out into even further character interactions. Like, there's no overarching conflict you have to deal with, but there's like a really, really in-depth, like, evolving storyline that the game has, and it's just a really neat system I've never seen replicated before.
That sounds really nice.
Yeah. A couple other small things. I dipped my toes into Elden Ring, which is
okay.
Jump into the game, get killed by the first boss. It's a Dark Souls game.
What's your experience with the Soul series?
Very, very minimal. I tried to play Dark Souls and the camera made me a little motion sick, which
Gotcha.
I get with a lot of games. I'm normally able to push through it, but it just didn't catch me enough. I feel like I'd have to... I'll probably go back to it at some point, but it's just... Trying to get over a learning curve while also getting sick while doing it just wasn't enough for me.
I can see that, yeah.
But Elden Ring's tempting. Like, it is really tempting me. Soundtrack is gorgeous, and it's a very nice game for when you just want to slowly walk up to an enemy and feel like an absolute badass while doing it.
I could feel that. Like, I'm not a big Souls guy either. I played Demons back when it came out on the PS3, and then my PS3 died, so that was the end of that playthrough. And then my next game was Bloodborne, and that kicked my ass, and I made a video about it that said, wow, I didn't enjoy learning Souls through Bloodborne, and I think it was a little harsh. And I think if I went back to it, I would have an okay time, but wow, that was unwelcoming. And for some reason, I just never got into the main Souls series.
I don't think there's a game series out there with a steeper barrier for entry. But given how almost everybody that's passed over that barrier calls it some of the best games they've ever played, like, I'm sure eventually I'll do it. It just hasn't happened yet.
From what I've seen, Dark Souls 1 does a great job of welcoming you in. I mean, it still kicks your ass, but it's less unfair, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the series took off, because it's like, oh, my ass has been kicked, but now I'm going in. Oh, now I'm in here. Oh, this man is praising the sun. Oh, look, Lil Winnie the Pooh Knight.
For sure. I'm just the addictive gameplay and phenomenal lore.
Have you walked into a poison swamp yet?
No, not yet.
The game is terrible. I was promised poison swamps within the first 10 minutes.
Random boulders happen a lot. I'm not fond of those. Like, I can see what you're saying with Dark Souls being a little more approachable, but there's definitely some, okay, we're gonna kill you with this just because you couldn't know about it, and you have to learn about it for the next time, and just remember it.
Right.
Not as fond of that kind of thing. Still, though, great game. I hope I get into it. I'd love to be able to share in that love.
Yeah.
Don't want to spoil the topic, but I've been playing a lot of Kirby things lately for an upcoming video. That's been delightful. Kirby's always fun.
I like Kirby. I'm a little bit of a fan.
Just a bit, I hadn't gathered.
You know, he's okay, I guess. I mean, he made a perfect game, and that hasn't been topped, except by the 2 games I like it more than that. But, like, other than that, he's okay.
Yeah, I've been replaying the whole of Kirby 64 specifically, and that's just, that's one of my best childhood comfort games.
That is a cozy blanket of a game and a half.
Right?
Like, even compared to the other Dreamland games, or even Epic Yarn, I feel like there's just something special about Kirby 64 that's, like, at the same time inventive and just so comfortable to play.
There's a simple delight of just being like, oh, excited, like, oh, I got one power-up, what can I combine with it in this specific area? And then just having all your friends pop up throughout it as well. No other Kirby game really had that much of an interactive cast that wasn't actually playable alongside you. And it was just a very nice feeling of working through an adventure together with friends.
Agreed.
And that's just my last small thing. I keep trying to go back to Halo Infinite, which is... It hurts because it does so many things right. Like, I oozed about the grapple hook in the last video, and I still stand by that. It's one of the best traversal options I've ever experienced in any video game.
Grapple hooks came out of your pores, and you just were dripping with grapples.
And it's so nice. The core gameplay, goodness, is so fun, and I love the characters in the campaign, but it's not actually, it's not doing anything with it. I feel like I'm playing a proof of concept, and they need like another 3 years to actually flesh out the game. Which makes me so surprised that that game was supposed to come out a year before it actually did. Like, what state was it in back then?
Yeah. You know what? I feel that way about Breath of the Wild.
I do as well. Like, it's such a fantastic sandbox, but like, with a few rare exceptions, it just kind of gives you the tools, but doesn't like do anything to flesh them out in any direction.
Yes, I completely agree with that.
Super excited for the sequel. Let's see what they do with that. But I'm kind of worried they'll just do more tools and not do anything
likewise.
with them.
There's a lot that can be done wrong, but I'm waiting for like, okay, you have all this stuff. I actually really like what you're doing here. Like, what you're doing enough is still a great game, but like, seduce me though.
Yeah.
Like, you're attractive. I agree with that. Please come on to me so I know the vibe.
That's a great way of putting it. Like, give me a puzzle that requires me to, like, put one of those, like, lava carts on top of another one and fly with the magnesis.
Yes.
Just, like, if you start encouraging that level of creativity, that's what will make it a 10 out of 10 game for me.
Absolutely.
I need to be clear, Breath of the Wild's still an 8 out of 10, but...
Just like, damn, Halo's really leaving an impression when we're talking about Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Just give me the hookshot in Breath of the Wild. Make it apply like that. Instantly a better game.
Yes.
That's all my small stuff. What have you been playing?
All right, so here's my small things. I'll try to keep it pretty short. I played F-Zero for the SNES.
Ooh, nice.
God, is that so much better than Super Mario Kart? Like, it's doing the same thing, but it does it so much better. There's just something about the tracks and the way that you need to maintain speed. You feel its F1 roots of focusing so heavily on cornering and positioning. I know in the Japanese fan base, Samurai Goro is known as Pink Grandma, because he is just this big fat loser who is taking up the entire road and won't get past you. And you feel that. It's so real. And if you fail, you blow up. It's great. And of course I died to that one jump on White Land 2 where you need to hold down, otherwise you blow up. And that's kind of cheap, but hey, I got to look at the instruction manual. You know, the instruction manual for that has a full F-Zero comic in it.
I miss instruction manuals like that.
Yes, and it was just a joy to discover that. One of the all-time greats, along with, like, Wario World.
I get that's all on the internet, and the internet has allowed that sort of content to be fleshed out so much further. But there's just something nice about seeing those, like, gargantuan instruction booklets, and just be able to, like, read those while game installs or something like that. I miss that so much.
There's something that feels empty when you open a game box, and it's either just, like, a foldable leaflet that's one page or nothing.
Yeah, why do they still have those inner flaps on the ones that have nothing? That's driven me mad for so long.
I know. Let's see what else I played WWF No Mercy. This was the big wrestling game on the Nintendo 64. Came out in, I believe, 2000.
Oh, interesting.
I do like wrestling, but I treat it as I feel most people with day jobs who watch soap operas treat soap operas, where I don't so much watch it as I do read about what happened online the day after. And that's my basic relationship with wrestling, but, like, I can't put it down. Like, there are some wrestling performances that I legitimately really love, of this era specifically. All of Mick Foley and Kurt Angle's work I am just in love with. And it's amazing how little wrestling games have evolved since the year 2000. Because I pick this up and I'm like, wow, this really does feel in core like the same game that I paid for in 2016.
Yeah, I can't see that particular type of game. Like, you see those occasionally in, like, E3 presentations and directs, and unless they're doing a weird, like, bobblehead or art style, whatever that one was a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, the Fortnite one that was ugly and had alligators. Battlegrounds, I think.
Yeah. They just kind of... It feels like there's no passion behind making the games. They just kind of capitalize on the hype behind wrestling. Is that still the same way back in the N64 days?
No, because they're discovering it, and because they're just figuring out, it feels so fresh and new.
Oh!
This, I feel, is like when Madden started really hitting the ground running as well, and they were like, yeah, we figured out how to make a really nice football game. This is what I feel is done with wrestling, because it's based off of something called the Aki engine, and that's been solid for the past, 20 years. But you can feel the rust and decay the later that you go on, and sometimes they'll make changes and adjustments to it, but it doesn't feel like it meshes with the system. This is just that pure system, and the N64 rust on it makes it feel so much better.
Nice, okay.
It appeals to me so much more, just making this crusty polygonal game where you're like, yeah, that kind of looks like that's how that's supposed to look, but not really, though. But it's trying its best anyway, and I feel like it gets to the core of it, because it's all of the frills that they can possibly offer, and you can feel like, okay, no, this is the most they could do, as opposed to 20 years later, you're like, they could do a lot more, and they took away Story Creator. That sucks.
Oh, that always sucks when, a franchise evolves and it takes so wrestling is like Pokemon. Like, you go back further, the graphics get worse, and your imagination fills in more. You can understand why there's these limitations. You can appreciate it for what it is.
Exactly. This is the Crystal version of wrestling games.
Nice.
And yeah, I kind of like it. It's dumb fun, and it takes you 3 solid matches to learn what the hell you're doing, but I had a nice time. I played a game called Tori 3D. This was on the Nintendo eShop for $1.
Oh, okay.
And you're a little bird, and you do 3D platforming, and you platform really fast, and you go through about 9 levels, and it's decent platforming, and 2 of the levels look like Metal Harbor from Sonic Adventure 2, and then you're done.
Nice. Just a nice little $1 experience.
It's a little game that never hurt nobody. And I had an alright time with it. It was worth $1 and about 40 minutes.
Nice.
Mario Kart Tour added Charge and Chuck, so I got him.
Solid purchase.
I didn't purchase him. I haven't spent a cent on Mario Kart Tour.
Oh, I'm gonna be honest, I've never touched it. I don't actually know how the economy in that works whatsoever.
Poorly. Don't invest in the economy.
I assumed it's a mobile game.
Aside, that's a good Mario Kart. It's got neat, unique tracks. Yeah, it has reverse versions of tracks. It has tracks that they slightly remix to have more tricks. And the multiplayer in it sucks. It's really bad. People just teleport. It's really bad. But the single player in it is so interesting because it's focused on chaining tricks and item usage and hitting opponents. So it plays a lot more like Tony Hawk than it does Mario Kart.
Interesting.
It is. I kind of really like it.
Yo, how has there not been a Mario-themed Tony Hawk yet? I feel like that's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, and yet the best we got is Disney Skate Adventure.
Well, no, there's been some skateboard things in the Olympic series, I think.
You're right, but I also wanted to mention Disney Skate Adventure.
The best
Where
of games.
Emperor Zurg is playable.
Oh! Okay, well,
yeah.
I was being sarcastic before now, but now you kind of have my attention.
Yeah, that's about all I can grab your attention with. I think the other worlds are Tarzan and Lion King, but nah, there's a Pizza Planet one, and you get Woody, Buzz, and Zurg.
Hey, man, any game with a playable Zurg, that bumps it up a few notches. That is a feather in its cap for sure.
How you feel about Wordle?
The nice thing about not having a Twitter or anything like that is that I've heard the name Wordle. I have no idea what it is. I've never even seen gameplay of it. I've been fully removed from that little cultural osmosis that's going on right now.
Alright, so to give you a brief of what the hell a Wordle is, it's a 5-letter word game. And you just guess the word. And it will tell you if the letters that you picked are in the word, which is represented by a yellow square, or are in the word and are in the right place, which is represented by a green square.
Okay.
And you have 6 guesses, and that's the game. and it does a new word every day.
Interesting. So it's kind of a... Oh, I can see why that would take off. It's kind of like an online race to see who gets it first. And
Yeah,
the
sort of like
behind
that. Just to brag to your friends, like, you piece of shit, it took me 3 guesses today. Took you 4? Normie.
It's interesting how small things like that can just ignite like wildfires.
Yeah, and I know it has a nice story behind it. It was made because a man noticed that his wife really loved word games, so he made this for her, and then they just decided to make it public. And then it took off, and then the New York Times bought it.
Okay, well, at least it had an adorable start. That's adorable. I love little stories like that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a cute game that didn't hurt nobody. I put it underneath Tori 3D. Another brief one, I played a bunch of Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania.
Nice.
That's Monkey Ball.
It is definitely Monkey Ball. Always a good time.
It's hard to say anything more other than, did they screw up the physics? And the answer is, they changed them, but no, some of the levels are tolerable now, where they weren't in Monkey Ball 2. But also some of the levels are a little worse. So there's give and take, but it's always the same with Monkey Ball, where it's like, how the hell do I even do this? And then you experiment and die and die and die, and then you're like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do? Okay, I'll try that. And then you try for about 10 more minutes and you get it.
Yeah. Joys of those kind of physics puzzle games. Never really got into Monkey Ball, but lots of Marble Madness games on PC. Basically get the same idea around.
Yeah, I can feel that. Really like the vibe, though. This is the furthest I've ever gotten into Monkey Ball 2, because it includes the story mode from that, and damn, the clock tower music from that is a banger.
Nice!
Alright, and then the last game that I played that was short, so that I only have like a minute or two to talk about, is Pokemon Channel. Fuck Pokemon Channel.
I want to... You said this in our conversations before. I've been so curious. What is the rant behind Pokemon Child? But Child Channel, goodness gracious.
Oh yeah, well, it's based on my well-known hatred of children. I hate all known quantifiable happiness in the world, so the feeling that I get from it is awful, and I wanted it to perish, and seeing Pokemon children made me upset.
Yeah. You know what, totally understandable. Baby Pokemon suck, unless you're Pichu. Pichu's good.
Like God, Cleffa? Vomit. Igglybuff? Wanted to die. Mime Jr.? No, you're okay though.
Oh,
Come
God.
with me.
You like Mime Jr.? Well, okay, I can see it.
Yeah, he's like a spilled ice cream cone. I love him.
That's a great descriptor.
But yeah, Pokemon Channel is the most miserable concept for a game I have ever come across. Because it's literally a concept of some Magnemite deliver a TV to your house, and Professor Oak is like, wow, welcome. I need you to watch TV for me. So then you sit there and you watch this anime pilot of 2 Pichus walking around, and there's like this weird jazzy theme song that's actually pretty good. And by pretty good, I mean like super schlocky, and you have this man just like trying to be jazzy, but he's really, really white, and you can tell. And it's just like, oh, side by side, it's Pichu and Pichu. And you're sitting there, and it's a miserable time, and you're watching what was very clearly like a silent, just the Pokemon making noises, but the Pokemon narrator is there going, wow, what are the Pichu brothers doing? And they're holding up cards that have fruit. And then there's silent, and they go, Pichu, 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 Smoochum, Smoochum, Pichu. And then the narrator goes, it sounds like they're talking about these cards. They seem to have something to do with fruit.
Oh my god.
Let's ask Smeargle. And then Smeargle paints a bunch of fruit and goes, it sounds like they have something to do with fruit. So you sit through that, and then a Pikachu busts into your house and is like, Pikachu, Pikachu, I want to watch your TV. So he just starts lounging around. Professor Oak is, wow, that's a wild animal in your house. Tell me about how it watches TV. And then you watch the most inane, boring programs that could possibly be offered, where it's like, oh, there's a news program, and okay, let's bring it over to News Porter Meowth, and Meowth goes, I'm here on the scene. And then he interviews a Pokemon, and it's like, wow, I am at the beach. The beach is fun. That's it from the scene. And only Meowth is voice acted for some reason. And then you go back and check out the program again, and then it's the same shit. I'm here on the scene. I'm here on the scene. That's it from the scene.
I'm sorry, when does the game part of this come into play?
This is the game.
What the?
You just watch TV.
And it was like packaged and sold?
For full price.
Jeez.
And it's like the ugliest art style for Pokemon I have ever seen. Please look up a screenshot of it, like right now, just of the gameplay, because it's impressively ugly. Like, I know Pokemon is usually ugly, but it's impressive just how ugly Pokemon Channel is.
Oh, God. Ugh. Yeah, that looks like Hey You Pikachu.
Yeah?
But, like, smoothed down. So you lose that polygonal charm of the N64, and now it's just, ugh.
So then, Pikachu gets pissed off and blows up your TV. I don't know why. So then Professor Oak sends you another TV, which is in black and white and has shittier audio quality, and is like, well, I'll give you new channels tomorrow. So you have to turn off the game and wait for the next real-time day, or flip the GameCube clock, in order to continue playing the game, which is just watching TV.
Some developer, somebody needed to tell the director of wherever this no a few times. This was GameCube, right?
This was GameCube. This was mid-GameCube.
Okay, so this is just like Nintendo to be like, no, we don't need to like get on with the internet craze going on right now. We'll do our own thing. See, here's the Pokemon channel. Here's our own spin on this stuff, and just Nintendo's way of trying to do their own thing with the social norm, and just perfect example of just botching that horrendously. Ugh, I keep looking at screenshots. And
like, do you know, like, the weird background bits that you see in every Pokemon game where everyone's like, Pokemon is amazing, I watch the Pokemon show every day? Or like that weird fan club that you get in, was it Dewford Town in Ruby and Sapphire? That's wow, I love Hit Mime Jr. Mime Jr. wasn't even in the game. Hit Ludicolo. Don't you love Hit Ludicolo?
I mean, of course everybody loves Hit Ludicolo. Who doesn't?
Ludicolo doesn't deserve that. But it's like a game designed around inane Pokemon NPC ramblings. And then you go outside and it's like Hey You Pikachu gameplay, but with none of the voice controls. So it's just bad, and Pikachu like talks to Torchic, and Torchic is like, Torchic, here's my Torchic trading card, Torchic.
I'm sorry you had to suffer through this. This sounds truly abysmal.
Okay, alright, yeah. Yeah. I played it to completion as a kid.
Why?
So anyway, what else have you been playing?
Okay, so while I had COVID, I was really heavily relying on very, like, easy to pick up and play sorts of games, because your brain's kind of out of it, and I didn't really want to experience anything like story heavy or anything like that.
Right.
So I played a lot of roguelikes, and like I really have to tip my hat to F.T.L, because that absolutely saved my sanity while I was sick.
Tell me about this, because I bounced off this game hard.
F.T.L? Okay, so Faster Than Light is... It kind of started like the modern roguelike craze in a lot of different ways.
Was this before Isaac?
I think it was around the same time, if I remember correctly. Maybe a bit before. It's been around for a while.
Right.
But it's this strange mix of a base management sim, a real-time pause ship combat simulator, and a kind of choose-your-own-adventure book. You start off in a ship, you're trying to get to jump between sectors as you have these... it's a Star Wars, you have the rebel plans, and you're trying to get away from the Empire sort of deal, where you're being chased by rebels, and you have to gather whatever materials you can before you hit that place where you, like, share your secrets with the rebels and get the materials you need to fight off this final boss. Like your standard roguelike stuff.
Oh, damn, you're the Bothan spies who died to give us this information?
Exactly! That is exactly where you are. And the reason I love it so much is that there's so many different ways to, well, it's a roguelike, there's so many ways to play through it. You get a choice between, like, it's either 8 or 10 completely different ship layouts, all with their own unique gimmicks. Like, there's one with, you have a hardened shield around your ship, which can absorb any kind of damage whatsoever for a few seconds, so you can, like, if you, like, really front-load on offensive weaponry, you can, like, destroy ships before they even get a chance to damage you. Or there's another one with really heavy cloaking technology, which instead of like going defensive, you go for more evasion type of deal.
Right.
Then there's lots of different crew members that allow for lots of different strategies while going through it, and really impressively deep lore around each and every of these society of aliens. Like, they only give you like little bits and pieces, but it gets you really invested of like just trying to learn more about how these societies functions. Like, on one hand, you got these warlike mantis creatures that are pirates and crazed individuals, but you start learning a little bit more about them. You can like get them on your crew, and it's just really fascinating to like see like little bits and pieces of their cultures, or these like NGs, which are these, I can't remember if I think they're like living nanobots kind of deals, like living AI. And you start learning more about their society and like the wars they're having with the Mantis, how they're trying to support your efforts, and how the rebels are trying to crush them. And then you get little bonuses based on like each one you get. Like you have that choose your own adventure book kind of deal going on, and depending on what kind of crew members you have with you can like manipulate how you can interact with these environments. Like there's one that's coming to mind where you find a spaceship where there's a quarantine signal going off, and they're like, they need help because there's some rampant virus going through them, and they need your help with medical attention. And normally it's basically a dice roll to figure out like, oh, do you heads or tails, are you able to provide help, or will they overwhelm you and kill one of your crew members? But if you have an NG who is a robot, you can just send them in and they have no fears of it, and they're able to calm it automatically. So it's this really fun game of trying to get like spread your net wide. Like imagine a Hades run where you're trying to get one of every god power, and it allows you to like kind of spoof the system and like create this narrative of like all the races coming together to like fight off against this common enemy while everyone's using their own unique skill sets to win the day. It's just a really fun game to kind of like get lost in the vibes of it in that way. Especially with the music that it has. Like, oh my goodness, F.T.L's soundtrack is phenomenal.
I could definitely see the strong appeal, especially of you only getting bits and pieces of lore of something that you might really want to dive into in one run, and then you just go, well, I need more, so you do another run. I can see how that's a very strong hook.
Yeah, especially since some of the encounters are designed in a way that they're kind of teasing what you need to have. Like, there's one, you meet guys that are like trying to like, oh, we need to capture this mantis ship because they're causing a lot of problems here. And you can only capture a ship if you have a teleporter, because you need a teleporter to like send your crew over there to board them and kill their crew members.
Right.
So it kind of teases this thing like, oh yeah, there's this quest over here. If you can find this and you have this item, you can do this little quest line and figure out this part of the story, but you don't have it yet, so come back to it next time. And there's dozens upon dozens of those, so it really keeps you invested in trying again. Because not only is the gameplay just pushing you to go like, okay, just one more run, I can get further. But it's also giving you lots of these little sub-narratives of being like, oh, I just found this weapon, or I have a crew member of this species. If I find this thing, I can like explore that quest line and figure out what that's all about. And there's dozens of those that you're kind of trying to find at every given moment, which just really adds to the replay value even more than like other roguelikes of similar natures do.
I could see that. I feel like my issue with this game is that I don't feel that its sense of identity is super strong at its start. And I feel like in the couple of runs that I did, I was just like, okay, I'm going to keep going. I got some bad rolls. I'm just going to keep going, but I know I'm dead. This is a miserable feeling. And I hit that about 3 or 4 times, and I decided, this isn't for me.
I will admit, it is absolutely chock full of bullshit. Like, I will start a run, and if something goes wrong in the first roll, I'll just restart because I know that's not going to work out anymore. And maybe if I got better at the game, that wouldn't be an issue. But I can definitely understand why someone would bounce off of this game, because it's not as accessible as, like, later roguelikes would end up, like, learning from its mistakes in that way.
It sounds like the deeper end is very much worth it. And, like, I like the punishment, but I feel like you do need a sort of onboarding process. Because even with a similarly punishing one, like, say, Isaac, it is horribly punishing and gross. I don't like anything about Isaac's art style. You still get that sort of discovery of, oh, wow, weird power. Oh, neat, weird thing. Okay, another run. Wow, new weird thing. Weird thing, neat. New thing. Want that thing again, not that thing.
Yeah, I feel like F.T.L, you need a run to go well before it really starts hitting its stride with you, because when something goes wrong in that game, it sucks. Like, if the dice are not in your favor and you just lose a crew member, you're basically just dead. Like, it's definitely one of the most punishing roguelikes I've ever played. But when you, especially since it also means that, like, if that Zoltan crew member you really needed for that one quest line with those religious zealots is just gone, then all of a sudden, oh no, not only am I losing my firepower and I'm probably screwed for the run, I also can't get that narrative thing anymore. So the disappointment's essentially doubled. It's very much narratively a high risk, high reward going through that game.
Yes.
The highs are very high, but the lows are punishingly frustrating.
Yes, and I just hit the lows far too early, but hey, maybe I'll look into it.
I would highly recommend it. If not F.T.L, they made another game called Into the Breach, which I think is a lot more approachable.
I've heard a lot of good about Into the Breach.
I would also highly recommend that. Into the Breach is fantastic.
Gotcha.
We basically segmented these into small, medium, or large categories. So have you got any medium ones you want to talk about next?
Yeah, I do. So to just back off of yours, I also played a roguelike, and that is Getsu Fuma Den, Undying Moon. And
I've never heard of this one.
You've probably seen it in a Nintendo Direct. It's that really gorgeous looking game that looks like it's a Japanese woodblock ukiyo-e painting, just in motion.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's based off of an old Konami property that was like the sister game to Castlevania, but never took off and wasn't released in the West. And this is a revival of that. And by revival, I mean they took it and they made it Dead Cells.
Oh, okay.
So it's Dead Cells, and it's... how do I put this? The moment-to-moment controlling your character feels good. It's stiff, but it's good in that Soulsian kind of way, wherein your dodge is very specific. Your swings all have a very steady start, up, and end lag. You feel the weight of all of your weapons. You feel the weight of all of your attacks. You get a bunch of sub-weapons, and they're all fun to use, but you get randomized drops for both your main and sub-weapons, so you kind of have to style on the fly and figure out where your run is going to go. Bosses are absolutely gorgeous. Like, just beautiful, beautiful bosses that disguise how simple and straightforward their attack patterns are by how utterly beautiful that they are. Because God, do they look like paintings in motion. Does a great job, does not hold up on the Switch's handheld mode, but like docked or just on PC, which I believe is getting released soon. God, that's beautiful. Wonderful time.
Nice. I'm looking up screenshots of it right now, and yeah, this game, I'm getting, it's not quite full-on Okami, but like, I've missed that sort of just painterly art style.
Yes, absolutely. And I would love it, but I don't think I like it.
Why is that?
As much as I do like the general flow of gameplay, it is very slow. You feel the weight of your character, but in these randomly generated labyrinths, it's something of a slog to go through them. You don't get quite the same joy. And it doesn't feel very polished. Like, just as a simple example, there are enemies that lift exploding rocks at you and then throw them. And if you hit them, they obviously drop the rock and it explodes. And you have to, get out of the way because all of your attacks are melee. The issue is they drop that rock if they are at any frame of their animation. So if they are at frame 1 of it, you will interrupt and the rock will be slightly stuck in the ground and you have to just back off. And that makes hitting enemies kind of a slog, which wouldn't be too bad, except these rocks are transcendent and can go through the environment while none of your projectiles can, and they can be thrown from off screen.
Oh, no!
And these are randomly generated areas.
That's some NES Ninja Gaiden bullshit.
Yeah,
no, thank you.
And it's pretty constant, unfortunately. The third world is based on it, where there's this massive Seiryu dragon in the background over... It's that classic painting of the Great Wave, but, like, imagine that, but there's a dragon breathing energy balls at you
Yeah.
But the energy balls can pass through obstacles, and you can't dodge them sometimes.
Yeah, I'm all for difficult bullshit, but when you can't plan around it, that's not a
And I would be fine with that, but this is the slowest progression system I have ever felt in a roguelike. Like, I will be able to go through like 4 to 5 runs, and I'll quit out of them specifically to preserve my equipment, because you lose your drops if you die. So I'll go out of them to preserve them so that I can forge better weapons, and I'll get like plus 10 damage to my katana after 4 or 5 runs.
Plus 10? I've been looking at the Steam trailer for it while you're speaking, and I'm seeing numbers in the thousands here.
Yeah.
Just 10?
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's on top of the fact that drops are random. So you could just not get anything that you need to get the first step to upgrading your things, and you could get plenty for like the 3rd or 4th step, but that first step, you're not going to get the Oni fangs that you need.
Oh, that joy. That Monster Hunter joy of being like, oh yeah, I have 30 rupees, but I just need that one spike from the tail, and it won't give it to me.
Exactly. And it's just that, but it's such a slow burn. Like, I enjoy this game when I reach a new area. I really do. But I think it struggles really hard in its moment to moment, and in the grind of a roguelike in general. I feel like it's competent, but I feel like the art style is the only thing that's carrying it from like truly being exceptional. Like, that's the only exceptional thing about it. Everything else is okay to bad.
And like, a roguelike is one of the worst genres to have that problem with, because you're going through the same areas so much. Like, I'm loving the look of this game, but just watching the gameplay, I just want to play Dead Cells instead.
Yeah, that's unfortunately the feel I get from it. And again, I want to say there are exceptional moments in here. And by exceptional moments, I mean, wow, this is pretty. Learning a new boss is always fun. But sorry to say, I don't think I can recommend it.
That's unfortunate. At least it's pretty. I hope the artists were paid well. That's a hell of a thing to have on a resume, at least.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, those people like are set on their next job. I really wanted to like this game. I really did. I don't think I do.
I'm sorry for your loss.
I am too. All right, what else you got?
Similarly to F.T.L, I was basically bouncing between that and Teamfight Tactics.
All right, that's a name I've heard before. Go on.
Yeah, combined with just being sick and the embers of the hype I had for Arcane, which I also watched again while sick because why not? It's an amazing show. I almost did the horrible deed of actually being like, maybe I'll just jump into League of Legends again for a few games and just see what's like. But I was thankfully able to avoid that because I looked at Teamfight Tactics, realized it was themed after Arcane for the season. I was like, okay, I'll just grab this instead, and thank goodness I did.
Yo, they added Silco?
They added Silco.
Shit, that's targeting.
He's one of the best units in the game. His whole gimmick is that he doesn't really fight himself. Like, he throws daggers and stuff, but his ability is that he injects other units with Shimmer, which massively increases their health and attack speed, and then 5 seconds later they blow up. So he turns your other allied units into living time bombs.
Yeah, that's exactly what he should be.
And it's just... he's kind of hard to build around. Like, there's other 5-star units. Like, if you just get a Jinx as a 5-star, her ability is a nuke that just wipes out the entire board. Yeah. So you need a bit more of a setup with Silco, but when that starts working and you just watch this giant purple wave of death just wash over your opponent's board, it feels so good. I really like what they've done with Teamfight Tactics lately, because they added this, it's called the Hex Core augment, for anybody that's watched Arcane. These little, added modifiers to any individual run. If you put a unit on the back 2 rows of this auto chest board, they'll get more armor. Or you'll have a little bit of extra of this augment, or start with extra gold and you can get more interest for every run. I'm kind of speaking as if, like, you know the basics of, like, how auto chess works. Like, if you get to a set of units, they'll become stronger units, and you're just trying to build off of different modifiers. Like, for example, Silco is a scholar mastermind, which means that he gives mana to the people in front of him, which is also just a great design choice of just being like, okay, he enables others to fight for him. It's just so well done.
Yeah, I like that.
And Scholar makes it so that everyone passively gets more mana. So you'd want to build him in a way to, like, either allow his ability to give, like, auto attack damage people. He pairs really well with Jinx, which is a nice touch. Just being like, oh, he shimmered her up? Okay, everything ever is going to die in 5 seconds.
Oh, does he blow up instead of her?
I wish there was, like, a little thing in the game that made it so he'd always target himself before targeting her, but I don't think it's that in-depth, which makes me really sad.
Damn it, you just have to do little things, guys.
There are some other little things, though, like you can't have a Jinx or a Vi on the board, because they're rivals at this point of the League timeline, which, this is the mid-set, and before that, they were sisters, and they worked better together.
Mm-hmm.
Just nice little things like showing off various relationships between different characters, and it's a really lovely game because there's never going to be two runs that work the same way. Like, sometimes you get this amazing augment right at the beginning of the game. You're like, okay, I have to go for this now, because if I combine these two things together, like, if I put this mana buff on this one champion, they're just gonna keep using their ability over and over and over and over again, and it's beautiful to behold.
Right.
And if a run goes wrong, like, the runs don't take, I love that League has learned its lesson that being stuck in the same match for an hour is awful. So everything they've made since then has just been like, okay, just dip like 20 or 30 minutes in this. It's fine, it's fine.
I love the ability for League to constantly go, what if we made things so that people don't have to play League?
And they're doing amazingly.
Oh, thank God.
I haven't even mentioned the best part about it. They added this mode called Double Up, which basically means that it's, normally auto chess is made in, like, it's 8 players fighting against each other, but that makes it so it's 4 teams of 2. And it gives you options to, send units to your ally, and send items as well, which turns it into an incredible game of just being like, okay, let's help each other build the most overpowered things we can possibly do. Because if you win those matches fast enough, you can actually send your units as reinforcements to their side after a short timer.
Oh, that's good stuff.
And it just adds this entire another level of strategy to an already pretty complex and amazing game. So I've been playing it a lot with my brother, and it's just the feeling of being like, okay, dude, I'm only one unit away from getting a 3-star Braum or a 3-star Orianna or something like that. And just being like, those moments of, dude, I just found it. And just popping off because you just watch this, like, this strategy that you both work together to create just absolutely decimate an entire board. And it's just, it's a lovely team building exercise, because you don't have to worry about, like, the toxicity of League because you're doing it with a friend.
You know, that sounds great.
It hasn't. Well, we've had a few moments of, the way these are laid out, there's, like, different rarities of units. Like, you have those 1-star cannon fodder and then the 5-star, like Jinx, Silco. If you get these leveled up to a point that they're just gonna melt the entire board.
Yes.
We had a game where the very last round, we simultaneously found the last thing we were looking for both of us. So we both had 3-star 5 costs. And it was just a wonderful moment of like, dude, I just found your last thing. Yes, we're gonna win now. Dude, I also found yours.
Oh, God, there's nothing better than the feeling of top decking.
Yeah, and this is cooperative top decking that it allows for.
Oh, that's sexy.
Yeah, I know the name League of Legends scares people off, for a good reason. I've dipped my toe into MOBAs, I really loved others, like, there's no game I've played more than Heroes of the Storm, but League of Legends is just a toxic cesspool. But TFT, don't let that tarnish your view of TFT. TFT is amazing.
Excellent to hear.
Alright, got any other medium ones?
Sure. Mario Party Superstars. I played a bunch of that,
I have heard that it is good?
Oh, it's very good.
Excellent!
It's very good. I would say that if Mario Party to you is the minigames, and having a competitive minigame match with your friends, and using that and getting, like, lamps and stuff, this is the best Mario Party. It has, by far, the best minigame selection. Great selection of duels, good selection of battles, excellent overall selection of minigames from throughout the series. Ones that were bad, like Dizzy Dancing from Mario Party 2, which is just, there's a note in the middle. Your controls for the control stick are randomized. Whoever gets it first wins.
Oh, I actually really loved that one.
Yeah, but it's over in 3 seconds every time.
Oh, true.
They changed it so that instead, after you get one, another one spawns, and it's a high score over 30 seconds deal.
Oh, yes!
Yes, they make so many smart changes to it. They make Mushroom Mix-Up can now be played by colorblind players because they add different symbols to the mushrooms.
Nice! You don't see that kind of accessibility stuff from Nintendo often. Good on them.
I know. It's a really, really smartly designed game insofar as the minigames go. There's a lot of great flourishes. The dancing ring in Horrorland has been changed to a full little dance where it does a remix of the Horrorland theme, and every character has their own unique dance to dance the day away. Waluigi moonwalks. It's worth everything.
Yes.
And overall, it's just such a fun package. They have both the randomized bonus stars and the classic bonus stars, so you can play with the classic rule set, but you can also play with the more modern. Well, there are multiple things that you might want to be going for during this game.
Fantastic.
Except they changed the coin star.
Oh, how so?
It is now no longer highest amount of coins at one time. It is the most whoever has amassed the most coins through the game. So that's through minigames, through spaces, through boo, through banks. Whoever has gained the most money through the game.
I hate that.
Yeah, it makes minigame and coins snowball even more than it did in the old days, which is really, really unfortunate.
What was the mindset behind that?
Technically, it makes it more unpredictable because it's much harder to keep track of.
Well, yeah, but
yeah, I don't like it. It's that, and also, I like the boards that they chose. I think that everything that they did to make a board better has also made it worse in equal measure.
I've been meaning to ask about that game. Did they keep the costumes for the Horrorland
They
and
did
stuff?
not.
Damn it.
But they do something really, really cute, which is you go in and then they're like, oh, guys, we had such good memories here. And then they show old grainy pictures of the Mario Party 2, Mario Party 1 in the old graphics. And
okay,
they're like,
that's adorable.
They're like super blown up because of the awful resolution. They look terrible. And they're like, oh, years ago they fought a mighty wizard here, but the horror has returned to the forest. It really loves the old Mario Party games. At the last 5 turns, they remix the music of whatever board you're on to like a more up-tempo version. And some of them sound okay, but like Peach's Birthday Cake sounds great. It becomes like this jazzier big band style number.
Do you like big bands?
Yeah, there's so much love poured into this game, and it's done really, really well. Like, you can tell that everyone who went into this love Mario Party. They really do.
Well, it only took almost a decade, but we finally got people making Mario Party that are like that.
I know. And that is the most refreshing thing, let me tell you. I think it just needed more playtesting with, I don't want to say a non-casual market because it's Mario Party, but I feel like there's like a depth and strategy that emerged from the earlier Mario Parties, and this makes a lot more closer games. It's harder to snowball in this game, but at the same time, it also ends up feeling more like that classic Mario. What people imply Mario Party is a luck fest.
Yeah, they needed a couple people on the development team that were a bit overly competitive for their own good.
Exactly. This is a great Mario Party. It's not the greatest Mario Party for me. I still think that 2, 3, and maybe 7 are better.
Yeah, 7.
7 has a lot of its own issues, but like...
Yeah, the microphone games are awful, but like it has some of the best boards in the series if you exclude those. Like Pagoda Peak, man. I love Pagoda Peak.
I love Pagoda. I love Windmill. I love Bowser's Enchanted Inferno. Neon Heights is the troll board.
Yeah, never had an N64, so 7 was my
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm glad to hear that Mario Party is positive again.
Yeah.
Like the first Switch game, I can't even remember what it was called. Just felt so
Super Mario Party.
Yeah. Like it felt like a step in the right direction, but there's barely anything there.
Yeah. I hope this game gets DLC. I really do. Because it could benefit tremendously from it.
Yeah, just board packs? Like, I'm surprised it's taken them this long to do that. Because that's such a... Especially if they're nice and do what they're doing with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and be like, okay, just one person needs to buy it, then all your friends can play all night. It's like, people would love that so much.
I just want Diddy. It's very simple. Just give me Diddy Kong. And Pauline.
She's not in that. Why is she not appearing in more spin-offs? Like, I feel like that's...
Yeah, it's weird.
Make her the Rosalina of this generation.
Surprisingly small roster. It's the 8 that were available in Mario Party 3 and 4, plus Rosalina and Birdo.
Just 10?
Just 10.
This is... You have models for all of these characters available.
Nah. No one loved Monty Mole enough.
Even still...
All of the love in the world wasn't enough for that special boy.
I feel like of all games, Mario... Well, I guess there are a lot of mini games you have to implement them in. I can kind of see that, but still.
Oh yeah, and they do a lot of cute things with it. Like, do you remember the one where you have to wind up the Shy Guy?
Yes.
From Mario Party 2? Donkey Kong's hand is too big, so he just does it one-handed.
Oh, okay, if the smaller roster comes with, like, lots of little animation differences for each character, that's fine.
Yeah, no, they're surprisingly well animated for this game.
Alright then, okay.
Oh, and the best feature, there are little stickers, and you can just throw them down whenever, and they're the most toxic thing in the world.
Please
I
say
love
there's
them.
like a sticker star.
There is not, but it does
damn.
keep track of it as a statistic.
That would be hilarious, just being like... Okay, I can see why that would get annoying very quickly.
Yes, but there is just one sticker that is just a sad-looking blooper that has the words, "But why?" at the bottom. And it is my favorite thing.
Oh, that's incredible, yeah.
And each character has their own specialized 3 stickers, which are the same things, which is hi, yes, and what?
I feel like the whats are the most consistently best.
Oh, they are. They are. Shocked face Donkey Kong and shocked face Waluigi going, what? Hi, yes. But why? Yes.
Oh yeah, that's such a great thing to have in Mario Party. Just being like ridiculous happens, you just be able to spam those over again to vent your frustrations.
Exactly. It's such a welcome change from the old taunt button.
I mean, I did also like the "You're lousy!" Just being able to spam that over and over with Waluigi.
Oh, please. Mario's
"Hey, Stinky!"
is an all-timer.
I do like that they're embracing that party side of it more.
Yes.
Because that's what Mario Party's all about.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, really good game. Really happy with it. Really hope it gets support. You got anything else in this section?
I've got one more medium one, which shouldn't take too long, because I don't know how much I want to say about it here. But for a video I'm making that's kind of turned into a passion project, I don't really know when I'll get around to finishing it. But I've been playing Metroid Other M. Just kind of
That's a video game.
Yes, oh god, that's a video game. But it is an absolutely fascinating video game. Because it's bad. Like, everybody knows that. It's a bad game. But it's intentionally so. Like, there is not an aspect of this game that was like there's no like, oh, that was clearly rushed or that's clearly buggy. No, it functions exactly as it's supposed to. It's just that the way that it was designed is so awful. And it's truly impressive to see that. Like, I was talking for a second, like, of that, I can't remember which game we were talking about, of just, like, a developer needed to be told no. Holy shit, did Sakamoto need to be told no in so many areas of this game. Like, a lot of people know just the way that the controls are the way they are. Like, it's just the single Wii remote. There's no nunchuck for just why? But, like, it's that way specifically because he wanted to emulate just the development hardships of, like, developing for the NES. Because, like, oh, we only had this much to work with back in that day. Let's make it so we can only have this much to work with here, so we'll have to come up with creative solutions to overcome those hardships. Which, like, yeah, they did so, but why?
Because the dinosaur refuses to change its mind.
It's so amazing to watch this game intentionally shoot itself in the foot and then just try to function despite that. Like, it does create interesting ideas here. Like, I love the idea of having like basically a stance change of mobility versus firepower that Other M presents forward, but they're not able to flesh it out in any way because the way that you actually switch between them by like pointing the Wiimote at the screen is so convoluted that there can't be any depth because it's such a chore just to make it work in the first place.
But doesn't it make you feel like Samus and feel her vulnerability?
Oh god, don't get me started on the story. It did actually lead to a fascinating rabbit hole of, there's a video out there, I'll put like a link on the screen because I can't remember the description of it, going into the translation work of Other M, and it turns out that game it changes drastically between versions.
I can definitely believe that, just in subtext.
Well, yeah, part of it's just the cultural difference between, overseas in Japan, the relationship between a military officer and their subordinates is a lot more, like, respectful, so Samus's idolizing nature of Adam is a lot more understandable over there. So to make that make sense overseas, they gave her the really weird, is it a fatherhood relationship or is she in love with him? It's really creepy and you can't quite figure out which, and that makes it even worse and just But over there it's fine. And then Samus is better over there as well. She's a lot more assertive with a characterization that kind of makes sense for this bounty hunter that's literally destroyed planets. But even more fascinating, there's like world building stuff in the Japanese version that's cut out entirely in the version we got overseas.
Really?
Like, it actually does some work to like flesh out the politics that are going on right now, like the corrupt side of the Federation that Adam's trying to work against, and actually does the time to like explain like, oh, there's different sections of the space pirates as well. That's why all these ones are like mindless drones. So it doesn't fix the story. Like the inherent problem with the story is still that it tries to present like an origin story for Samus. Like that's the kind of the conflict she's going through. Like, oh, this is kind of copying the Metroid manga, where she had that, like, the meltdown in front of Ridley, which the manga, by the way, does it far, far better. I wish they just copy and pasted that scene.
Yeah, that'd be nice, but then again, who are you getting to voice act Ridley?
I would love Mark Hamill with his Joker voice, but, like...
Look, not everything can be Mark Hamill with his Joker voice. Like, if you want that, you can watch the new He-Man if you want that. The first new He-Man, not the second new He-Man. The second new He-Man is also good, though.
Metalface would also be great in that regard. But yeah, like, it's one of those games that I hate it with every fiber of my being. I think if I made a list, Metroid Other M is my least favorite game ever, because of what it does with, what it did to the series, what it does to Samus's character, how much it's going to prevent further explorations of Samus's character because of the poor reaction to this when they tried here.
Ooh, more than Duke Nukem Forever, that's a big one.
Yeah, because, like, I don't see them trying to have, like, another story-centered Metroid for, like, at least a decade now, at minimum.
Yeah.
And that's a shame, because Samus is such a fantastic character. No disrespect to, like, Doom Guy and Master Chief and other characters like that. Like, they've been through some stuff, but Samus has been through some terrible things and feels the effects of them. And I really like that. I wish it was done well. It's just that Metroid Other M just botches it so horribly. It's a masterclass of showing, like, of show don't tell, because Samus just tells everything.
I can see a world where this game is good and beloved and changes the face of the Metroid franchise.
Yeah, and that's the kind of spoilers of what the video will be, but that's what I'm trying to, like, put forward of being like, okay, what if this game had been done well? What if we changed the narrative so that it works in this sort of way? What if we explore those ideas a little bit forward, which is why it's become a passion project, because that's going to be a very long video.
Yeah, no, I can see that, because you're tackling it from all angles, which is a lot more thought than I've gone through in my half a playthrough, and I watched it twice, that I've done in my life.
It's been an interesting experience, because I think there is merit to very bad games that were done well, if that makes any sense. Like, letting those developers go and just do whatever they want, and letting the failures come. Because it shows what makes... It's good to have that contrast, you know?
Yes.
Like, you have this example of character assassination, you know what to avoid in the future, and it's just interesting to study that and see what went wrong and what could be right instead. I wish it hadn't happened to Samus, of all characters, but she's bounced back since then.
Yeah. Yeah, she has. She's gone through a very, very long rehab period. But I think especially now with this last year and with Dread's release, we're at the point of we now actually get what Samus's character is now, and we can approach that again.
Yeah, I just hope they don't... I really hope they don't abandon her mental traumas altogether. Because she has been through some horrible things and should be bothered by that.
I think there are far more interesting ways in which that can be explored.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
I just hope it doesn't scare them off altogether.
If anyone is fearing the idea of it, no, there are ways to translate that and still have Metroid's gameplay and game identity and not make it a movie about suffering that is poorly acted. Or poorly directed, I should say.
Yeah, like, it's nothing wrong with the voice actress. Like, I feel so sorry for her, because, like, imagine being, like, your first big role into voice acting, and that's what you get. You know, good for her. Like, she still interacts with the community, and people still show her love. It's just, that would annoy me so much.
Absolutely.
It's kind of spoilers for the video, but I'd love for them to approach it in a way that's showing the mental trauma through, like, gameplay itself. An example I'd use is comparing it to Dead Space.
I was just going to ask if you played it.
Yeah. That game is phenomenal with, like, dealing with mental issues just purely through gameplay and making you question, like, is this real right now? Is that an actual monster over there, or am I just seeing things?
Yes.
Oh man, a Metroid Dead Space game. Like, Nintendo's never going to do it, but that's a whole nother can of worms right there. Just embracing the atmosphere and being like a Dead Space Alien Isolation, just embracing the horror vibes. I would love that so much.
Yes.
I know you have one more medium conversation, and I would love to hear this because it's low-key one of my favorite games.
All right, so let's talk about Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, baby.
Hell yes.
Yeah, diaper adventure, motherfuckers. This game was free for about a week, and I played it during that week. And I played it, and I had Joy-Con drift, so I took apart my Joy-Con, and I fixed my Joy-Con so I could finish the game.
Okay, please say it didn't tarnish your experience of it.
It did not tarnish my experience with the game.
Okay, good.
It is a wonderful, beautiful adventure, and I think it's okay.
I mean, that's fair. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is one of those weird games where, like, there's not much to it, but I feel like it's perfect for what it's trying to be. Just a small little adventure with these tiny little levels. Doesn't need to be super in depth. You're just kind of like, oh, there's like a couple things to find here. It's like super duper. Okay, there it is. Okay, happy vibes.
It's a very comfortable game. I feel like it being free for a week tarnished my experience because I felt the pressure to finish it. Whereas if this were a comfort game where I just played like 4 or 5 levels every day over the course of like 3 weeks, then this would be a super, super cozy adventure.
Yeah, that's the way to play it, too.
Yeah. As is seeing levels back to back to back to back, it's very easy to burn out and very easy to see kind of, oh, well, here's this trapping again. I do think for being essentially a platforming game where you do not jump, it is good. It is cozy. I don't think it's entirely the best of its like block pushing thing. Like I prefer a game like say Adventures of Lolo over this, or like a Fire and Ice, Solomon's Key kind of game, or like Pushmo or something similar. Like this falls under the lower end of that. I feel like more could have been done considering it's all reused 3D World assets. Like I feel like you could have remixed those a little bit better, but it's just a cutely cultivated game. It's hard to be upset at anything because it's doing what it wants to do. Does it do everything as well as it could? I don't entirely think so. I feel like there are some times where the controls are finicky, especially when you can tell, oh, this was a Wii U gimmick and you gotta rotate the thingy. I don't feel like that feels good or would even feel good if the gamepad were there.
Too,
Yeah. There are some diamonds that I feel are kind of bullshit, and I'm not a fan of.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
The one level where you're in the haunted house and it's constantly rising poison, and you have to like weirdly backtrack, but the blocks to the diamond don't spawn if you're too close to them. that one stumped me for a while. When I got that, I was pissed.
That's fair, yeah.
Overall, I think the game is an okay time. I don't think it ever really branches out to be the most it could be, aside from, I think the third, what is his name, Dragodon or something?
The
one where he's made of gold.
Yeah.
I think that one is a really good level, but like, I feel like the minecarts are underutilized. But occasionally when it has a clever idea, like that one level where you have to escort a charging Chuck through this swarm of mudmen in order to break a block, I was like, that's super clever, and I wish the game did more of that. But the final note I want to leave it on is that this game made me love Toadette.
Right?
The fact that after each dragon boss, like, Captain Toad is very terrified of it. Like, oh gosh, oh no, oh, I have to do this to save Toadette. And then Toadette later gets to ride the same one, and she's like, yeah, kill them all! I'm like, this is the character I needed. Toadette, you are the girl boss of the Mario series. I respect and love you.
It's a very charming
It is.
Like, I don't... Like, it's very much... I think it was like $20 when it first came out, and I think that
I
price
think
tag is
40,
very, very justified.
Yeah. If it were 20, I would agree with you.
Well, I would still stand by it being a $20 game, but it's just a... This conversation has been getting me, like, looking back, I'm like, why did I love this game so much? I think it was just... Just part charm, part... It was a puzzle game where you never have to think too much about the puzzles. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes you get something like Baba Is You, and it tears your brain apart trying to think about it. But Captain Toad's just a nice little word search, a nice little crossword. It's just being like, oh yeah, this is a 1-star level Sudoku, but I can fill this in real quick and feel good about myself.
Yeah, Captain Toad is a mid-tier Kirby game for me.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, like this and like something like, say, Dreamland 3, I would put about on the same level.
Being like, oh yeah, here's a bit of comfort food. I don't need to think too hard about this. Just like, relax, have a good time. My adorable little friend.
Yeah.
I do really hope they bring that characterization of Toadette back for, like, put it in the Mario series itself. It was kind of an Odyssey.
They kind of carried it over to Mario Maker 2.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, Toadette was like pushier, and it was like, yeah, let's do it. And some people were like, when did they make Toadette a girl boss? And I was like, Toadette was always a girl boss. But yeah, that was my adventure with Captain Toad. So now let's say the games that we thought, oh, these will take a while.
Indeed. Let's start with the one that we shared this time.
That's fine.
Instead of ending.
I'd like that. Yeah.
Because with the end of year video we did back in January, we covered Donkey Kong Country 2. This year we finished Donkey Kong Country 3. Correct.
We did not do the Lost World of it, but we got all the bonus coins and just decided, now we're good.
Yeah, it was a long play session for that last bit. We'll probably eventually revisit it, but...
Yeah, at some point. But yeah, I'm curious as to what you thought of it, because this is a strong childhood game for me. Like, this is the Donkey Kong Country game that I remember playing the most as, like, before I went into school.
Mm-hmm.
So I have strong identity toward it, so I want to see what you felt through it.
Well, first off, just general feelings about it. I feel like it's definitely the most interesting. Well, I haven't played DKC 1, but I assume that's just a fairly standard just ROM that the other two build off of. Mm-hmm. Like, being the third in the trilogy, they figured out what they wanted to do, and just wanted to branch out in all sorts of different directions, which allows for a lot of very interesting ideas, a lot of one-off gimmicks, and I feel like a lot of those are done very, very well. But I also feel like that results in the most imbalanced experience of the three.
I would agree.
Yeah, on one side you'll get the ideas you're just like, oh, I love this gimmick so much, this is so much fun. But on the other hand, you get like the pink coin levels that just absolutely destroyed us as we were going through that.
I loved that one though.
Yeah, that was fun. We spent the entire time shit-talking coin. It's the one that's actually holding the DK coins, being like, oh, how are we gonna get around this one? Oh, there's a barrel. How do we get around to coin this time? Just throw it into the wall behind it and bounce it off for the umpteenth time. And just repeat that joke 40 times over. Then you get to the level with the pink coins that actually push you off of ledges, and all of a sudden, we're losing 30 lives to this enemy we've been shit-talking the whole game. It's just really funny. Like, just karma bit us in the butt.
Knowing that level was coming is a wonderful experience. Knowing the whole last world is coming.
My notes for this game is just a bunch. It's just a list of fuck sleds, fuck Zeus, fuck just be a lot of just little troubles we had in those games. The Zeus level, it's the level with the constantly lightning bolts.
Lightning lookout, yes.
That gave us so much trouble that we were just eventually just talking about like the DK Pantheon was punishing us for various things. Just going in depth about what was going wrong, what we had done that was causing this Donkey Kong Zeus to just continuously throw lightning bolts. Occasionally Zeus was generous and would like hit an enemy for us. Occasionally he'd be absolute bullshit and hit us in ways that were absolutely those hitboxes were not touching, but oh well.
Yes. Oh god, I love that level gimmick so much.
It is a fun level.
It is. It's torturous. I love it. The part where you suffered with the ghost barrels, where you tried, I think, for about 10 minutes to get up a vertical shaft.
Was this the Squitter one?
Yes.
Oh god.
And then you jumped over the bonus, or no, you failed the bonus, and then you fell down a hole.
And
then you did it
twice.
Again.
So, yeah, it took me so long to get up there. I was like, okay, yes, I finally got back to the bonus objective. I spit a web just to walk onto it. I missed the web, and then just fell back down. I had to do the whole thing over again.
Yes.
And then after suffering like that for like 20 minutes, I die. You get back to Squitter. You just walk past it, pause for a second, do the whole thing first try.
Oh.
Like, I respected it, but also fuck you for doing that.
It was the greatest power. I just felt like you weren't appreciating Squitter. Like, I felt like he was being disrespected, and Squitter is my best friend. So I felt the need to immediately redeem him.
And to be fair, part of that just wasn't clicking with me. I don't like to throw in the excuse of, oh, but my controller, but I did have Joy-Con drift at the same time, which was making things a little more difficult, but it was also just me not quite... I couldn't figure out how to, like, jump and create the web at the same time.
You just hit the buttons at the same time.
I was trying!
It's only a strategy that's only used in speedruns.
I apologize for not having the frame-perfect knowledge of the DKC3.
You should! You should feel bad. You let Squitter down.
I'm sorry. I don't like spiders, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I love spiders.
Squitter is the best spider I've ever seen, but that's not a high bar.
He is top 5.
That's wrong. Muffet is, but
Muffet is also top 5.
Overall, it was a delightful experience. Like even with the levels I wasn't enjoying, like what the waterfall one that you can just fall back down.
Bounce.
Yeah, the dropping barrels. That one was not fun.
I think that's the worst level in any DKC game.
As it requires such precision, and one misstep, and it doesn't kill you, it drops you, and that's so much worse.
Yes. I remember we missed the bonus. Oh god, I just want to die. Please let me die.
Yeah, when it takes you like 20 seconds just to reset, that's annoying.
Yes. How'd you like this compared to DKC2?
I do think I enjoyed DKC2 a little bit more. Just because it felt more structured, and I enjoyed the, on a baseline level, I just like Diddy and Dixie more. I like that dynamic more. Dixie and Kitty, has interesting ways of, like, interacting with the world, because they have different mechanics. Like, being able to throw, Dixie further, or using Kitty's weight to break through things. That's interesting, but, the dualities I enjoy more on a base level.
I agree.
I also feel like the hub world was a nice idea, but the game design never really did anything with it. It was kind of just a hub world for the sake of having a hub world, if that makes any sense.
You're correct. Sometimes you can splash in the water and things happen.
Banana birds? Cursed as hell? Oh, and the minigames in DKC3 are just so much worse. Like that was... I loved that about DKC2 so much. Those quiz things. Oh, I loved that so much. And just seeing that those weren't there and were replaced with just the generic, like, carnival games, that was genuinely heartbreaking.
Now, admittedly, there is a lore reason for that, which is that Swanky was accused of rigging the quiz show in favor of Diddy and Dixie, so he had to go into carnival sideshows to get his money back.
I love DK lore so much.
It's so good. But yeah, I do really like DKC 3. I think it might be my least favorite DKC, and it's weird because it varies so much. Like, sometimes it's like my number 3 DKC, and sometimes it's my least favorite. And I think after this playthrough and after recently replaying Donkey Kong Country 1, I think I'm settling on it being my least favorite again. And it's still good. Like, I don't think that there's a bad Donkey Kong Country game.
I totally get that. Like, I love Monster Hunter games, but Rise is probably my least favorite of the bunch. It's still a good game, it's just not the best of this formula.
Yeah, but I think that there are individual levels and moments in this that are strongly elevated. Like, as much as I agree that I prefer a quiz show to the carnival sideshow throw the balls, turning that into a boss fight...
Oh, yeah! That boss fight was awesome!
It's ridiculous and fun, and... and then he turns into, like, a ski or something. No, he turns into a coin. I think that the whole final world is so strong and so fun. We suffered so much, and it was so worth it.
Oh, another suffering one. Remember that sled level? You kept trying to get that bonus over and over and over and over again.
Yes.
And we kept missing it because we kept forgetting, like, which... Okay, are the stars underneath the hut or above it? We even, like, counted it out, and we were still missing it when we got to it.
Apologies, I think roadwork just started, so if you hear any noise in my background, I apologize.
Just be like, up, 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 down. Why did I go up? Why did I go? I knew it was up!
Exactly. Why up?
Weird bit of muscle memory just kicking in there, but it was still fun. Like, I love a game that is frustrating but still fun at the same time. Because if you manage to do that, you get that amazing feeling of overcoming the frustration without the negative effects of just wanting to throw a controller or something.
Agreed. Last little note, which Brother Bear is best?
Oh gosh. Oh, that's difficult, because we were like giving funny voices to all of them, and the voices kept changing. So I'm trying to remember, which one was the aggressively French one that was just in love with his own reflection?
Oh yes, Barter.
That made me laugh the hardest. I don't remember if it was the bear itself or just what we were saying about him, but that gave me a good laugh.
I loved Benny and Bjorn, where one had this ridiculous accent and the other was, hello. Would you like to use my chairlift?
Oh, what was the accent for Bjorn?
Oh, I don't remember. That was in the moment.
True.
The remake on GBA adds another one, Bachelor Bear.
Oh, God.
He's just a bear in a hot tub. He's great.
Just all surf was, hey guys, welcome to my crib.
Oh, I imagine Johnny Bravo.
Oh, yes, even better.
Whoa. You wanna give me a shell so I can give you my banana bird?
Yeah, just good times all around.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it. The DKC games mean a lot to me, so.
Yeah, makes me want to do the original one after this.
It's good, it's shorter.
Excellent. So, between COVID and having my computer break, I was cut off from the vast majority of games I could be playing right then. Which kind of worked out in my favor, because it allowed me to get to a game that I've been meaning to play for decades now, but just never getting around to. Like, so much praise and love around it. It's in Smash Brothers, people love it because of that. And then, would you know it, a direct just put it on the Nintendo eShop, and that was Earthbound.
Oh. Damn. I really thought you were talking about Sin and Punishment.
I've been meaning to get around to that as well.
Imagine if you didn't have Earthbound on this docket, and we're building up, and then you said Banjo-Kazooie, and I went,
sorry to break your heart. I'm not, that deal for that Nintendo Switch Online is getting close to being worth it for me, but it needs one more. Like, I don't play Animal Crossing, I don't play Mario Kart. It needs something like, it's getting better, but it's still overpriced as hell.
It needs to target me specifically.
Yes.
Like, when you add the K. Rool skin to the game, it's like, oh yes, if you get this deal exclusive K. Rool and Mario Party, I'll be like, oh, that's pretty, oh, that's worth $50.
Sorry, you say K. Rool, I just hear this small, whoa, in the background.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, getting back to Earthbound, I should have expected this, just loving Undertale as much as I do.
Mm-hmm.
But everything I've seen about Earthbound, just NES and Super Smash Bros., just the small screenshots I've gotten, I never really dived into the actual charm of the game, because those sorts of introductions to it are very surface level.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just go into the game, just kind of walk around, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this random cameraman just spins out of the ceiling,
Photos
takes
taken
a picture
instantaneously
without explanation, and leaves without. I was
you gotta
laughing
treasure your memories
for ages, just because it just comes out of nowhere, and there's not. It doesn't explain like, oh, this is a mechanic in the game. There's not a reason for it. There's just a flying cameraman.
Yeah, Photo Man. It's just Photo Man.
I don't even want to know if it comes into play later. Like, I hope that like we actually get to see like artwork of those photos, but even if it doesn't, it's just the random goofiness of this game makes me so happy. Like, you get to the first area, they're like, oh, there's a police blockade, we can't let you go any further. So you go to the police officer's place, and like, oh yeah, okay, well, let's make sure that you're like strong enough to go back there. They take you to a back room, and just 5 police officers jump Ness and beat him up. And it's just...
It's the most accurate version of the police I've ever seen.
But just how out of nowhere, just so many things in this game. I'm having a very reverse Undertale experience with it. It was like, oh yeah, it's just like, wait.
It's just like it. It's that quirky RPG inspired by Undertale.
Yeah, it's so fascinating getting to inspired before the inspiration. And it's really helping me appreciate just so much of just like, wow, this game was just so ahead of its time. It's like all of these little random genius things it does. Well, like getting to the second area and you get to this egg vendor. He's like, oh, get these warm eggs, buy these eggs. Like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Buy a little healing items, this isn't much. And as you start walking around, you just start hearing these random bird chirps. Just out of nowhere. I thought it was something outside at first because it was just weirding me out. Like, is there an NPC over here? Is there a bird outside? What is going on? You look in your inventory and like, oh, it hatched. Of course it hatched. Why not? And then as it grows, it becomes a fallen chicken. I went back to randomly found a shopkeeper and realized that you can sell the chickens for more than you buy the eggs. So you can exploit the economy with this egg chicken based black market and just completely break the game in that way. And I love that.
That's so great. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door does something really similar, and it's really great to hear it come from this.
Just small little things that absolutely... There's a moment in the game where you were told by a Mr. Saturn, which first of all, Mr. Saturns.
Oh, boing.
Dude, man, Smash does not sell just how adorably charming those things are. That weird font that you're just looking at for a second, you're like, oh, this is just some weird random font they made up for it, but you look closer and like, wait, no, I can read this.
Yep.
It's awesome to have that experience, that realization.
Isn't it?
They also give you healthcare for free. Just those awesome Mr. Saturns looking out for the health of every individual. Love them so much. But they tell you this password to a hideout. Like, okay, say this and just wait 3 minutes. And you're starting to just wonder, like, wait, you mean I just put the switch down and... Okay. And it just keeps doing, like, little random wacky stuff like that. Getting to all these... Like, people like to praise, lots of modern games for, like, doing these weird things with, like, messing with the mechanics of the game, but Earthbound was doing that decades before them, and I love it!
Earthbound is so smart of a game. It's amazing learning its development history and figuring out that it was barely made. It had about a 4-year development history, and they had no idea what they were doing. Like, it was a development hell situation. So, Iwata was brought in from HAL Labs, and he looked over the game, and he went, all right, we could spend 2 years fixing everything, or we could spend 6 months completely remaking the game and have it ship. And they chose the latter option. And all of their ideas for the game, like, basically they had a storyboard and art assets made for it. But the actual game part of the game was made slapdash in 6 months.
Really?
Yeah, so you get this kind of almost pop style of just sewing these disparate pieces together, and somehow it ends up making its identity even stronger, I feel.
Yeah, you feel that kind of ramshackle experience throughout it, because there's a lot of looking at Earthbound from an outsider's perspective, you don't get a feel of just how unbelievably chaotic it is. Like, on one hand, it's a completely normal suburban environment, but on the other hand, everybody is just batshit crazy.
Oh yeah, the Mafia just has a robot.
Yeah, just a random tank that's just barely hidden behind a tree. Like, you can see, it's so obvious, but you just got punks going randomly attacking you on pogo sticks and with hula hoops. You find this one cult town where everyone just wants to paint things blue. You walk into a door and the frame rate drops because there's literally hundreds of NPCs creating a living wall. They have to try to go through the Pokemon ripped off later with the Team Rocket grunts, I think I remember that.
Yep.
Just trying to talk to each and everyone, trying to figure out, okay, are you the one that moves? Are you the one that moves? Are you the one that moves?
Oh yeah, Mr. Everdread, I love him, where he's giving you a dying speech, and he's like, please carry on my legacy, and then he just walks away.
It does a really good job of doing like tonal shifts like that, but like doing it in a way that doesn't break the narrative of the game, because the chaos of the game adds to it.
Yeah.
Get characters like, oh yes, I'm dying, but do you need to hear that one more time?
Yes.
Okay, let me explain again.
Okay, I can go.
I'm slipping away, but I think I can get this out one more time. Like, you get villains who are doing dastardly things and all that on one hand, but then you beat them like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'll be a good person now. And they actually are genuinely a good person now.
Yes. Oh, God. What a wonderful, wonderful, clever game. How's the gameplay?
I actually love it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm only at, I just beat Mr. Belch, so it might get worse as I go along. Now, RPGs in general tend to, wane on me to a point that I'm not willing to grind enough to, like, beat what I need to get through, which eventually stonewalls me with progression. But for now, I'm enjoying it quite. It's definitely dated. Like, there's a lot of things that just wouldn't fly with any other game I was playing, but something about the inherent childhood nostalgia of the game has captured me to a point that it's kind of overriding any problems I would have with the game normally. Like, if this was reskinned as like a different RPG, I would not be enjoying it at all.
Right. But
I think whatever is just the Earthbound vibes is doing enough to turn those problems into enhancements, because it's just what the game is. It's kind of fascinating in that way.
That's the big sticking point for people, because I do think that this game has several areas that are very, very poorly paced out, and you would have gone through one of them, which is Peaceful Rest Valley. It's the one with all the little UFOs and the trees.
Yeah, that was the stupid. I had to look up the pencil sharpener thing.
Oh yeah, it's the pencil
here.
eraser.
Yeah, but I went to the dude to like get this invention. He gave me something completely different. It's like, oh, I don't have to go back there because that's what he gave me. Just going back and forth and back and forth. I had to look up. I'm like, oh no, you have to go back to him after doing this certain thing. Like it's a very convoluted game that I'm glad I have the internet to get through.
Right. But yeah, I think what keeps it from me is that inventory management is so stiff, and that usually doesn't bug me, but there are so many gag items in Earthbound, and so many things that I want to experience that the limitation, I feel it harder.
I definitely could see that being a problem moving forward, because it's so slow paced to like get items to and from your sister. I think it hasn't bugged me yet because I just enjoy the charm of calling your sister up and like, hey, can you help me with this? Oh yeah, sure. Just a nice vibe there.
Yeah. And then I just feel like there are some areas that just go on, and Peaceful Rest Valley is one of them, where you just get slugged, and it doesn't feel like resource management really helps. It just feels miserable.
Yeah, there would need to be like a just comparing it to Undertale, one of those checkpoint stars like in the middle of that valley or something.
Yeah.
Or one of the butterflies. Yeah, the Undertale uses butterflies. No, not Earthbound uses butterflies. Goodness.
Yeah. Damn, I can't believe Persona ripped that off too. What an awful series.
I could definitely see aspects of the gameplay wearing me down as I go on.
I'll be interested to see your thoughts continue, because you're definitely at the point where if you were going to bounce off, you would have bounced off.
Yeah, the inherent charm of it is like zombie sticky paper. Like, come on.
Yes.
That's just hilarious. It's impressed me, like, this might change going forward, but I really like how the economy is handled so far. Like, I feel like I'm being given a nice balance of being, like, having the money I need for, like, upgrades, but not being overwhelmed with it. It's very rare for a RPG to hit that sweet spot of doling out cash for you.
Right.
It's either unbearable to grind up money, or you just have $1 billion in your bank.
Yes.
I will say one major negative has been knowing so many things about Earthbound from Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like, it's just a small thing, but I really, really wish I didn't know the melody from Smash.
Admittedly, that melody did exist before in Mother 1, and also was part of a very big album in Japan. So I agree, but I also think, like, the only people who experienced it in that way are the people who either got this from an older sibling who knew, or the people who adopted Earthbound in 95 in North America, of which there are few.
Yeah, all 7 of them.
Yeah.
That's still what it just bums me out, because I would have absolutely adored, like, that would have kept me going through this entire game regardless of how I end up feeling about it. Just the idea of slowly piecing together a melody and being able to hear bits and pieces of it. Like, not many games do that, and I love the idea. I also just love how unabashedly, I don't want to say tropey, because that makes it sound negative. It is very much a traditional kid wanders out into the world kind of game.
Yeah, it's a very familiar story.
Yeah.
But it's told in a way that's more about the feelings of the story rather than the mechanics and execution of it.
Yeah, well, like it's so heavy-handed with, like, Paula being like, oh, I'm reaching out to you, I've never met you before, but I know we're destined for greatness. But, like, the tone fits for what this game is.
Yeah, it's humble, but it's not afraid of what it is.
Precisely. Just one last thing, I'm really impressed with how varied the soundtrack is. Especially for this period of time in, like, video games in general.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, wow, this guy has a different thing. This guy has a different thing. What?
Yeah, it's just a lot of, like, it makes every encounter unique and distinct in its own way. Like, everyone has a vibe. And that's nice. Earthbound is a vibe game. It really is.
And most of it's pretty good. Sound design in general. Like, it's so nice going through this game and being like, oh, that's what that sound effect is from.
Yes. Yeah, Earthbound, I feel, has gone through a major renaissance of just background YouTube sound effects and music. In the same way that it's like, oh, that's that song from Banjo-Kazooie that's in every single early 2010s video essay, isn't it?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. But for good reason. It's a good game.
Absolutely.
I've never somewhat seen a game take the traditional yes/no questions that you, like, just answer to various NPC dialogue and be like, I fill in this crossword for me. What's the Beatles song that is blank 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 Toadette? It's been like, oh, it's so simple and silly, but I love it so much. I think that's all I wanted to talk about in terms of Earthbound for now. What was a big game for you this month?
A big game for me in the past month, just go on the same sort of vibe, Donkey Kong 64. This is a game that I've had since childhood, that I was excited for since childhood, that I never beat until the last couple months.
I guess first to ask, just why did you never beat it?
Because it's not very good.
Oh.
Is the short answer, but the long answer is a lot more interesting, because DK64, for all of the criticism that it falls under, is a very well thought out and very designed platformer. I won't say it's well designed, but it's very designed. And everything that it does is purposeful, there's some sense to it, and this game is an absolute superstar of character. Like, there is such great characterization in just the idle animations and little things. The big gimmick of it is that you have 5 different Kongs that you swap between, and you go into this little barrel, and you change a spotlight on each Kong, and each Kong has their own little musical rendition of this tiny theme. And they all give little idle animations asking you to pick them. And when you turn off of them, they get all disappointed and start to groan. And then when they get in the spotlight, they're like, oh, me. Oh, yeah, pick me. Look at how attractive I am. Except for Chunky, who is just waving at you. But as soon as the spotlight goes on him, he goes, and then starts begging you to pick Tiny. The game is just full of that. It is such a living cartoon in that sense. After every new world you get into, you get to check in with K-Rool, who is desperately trying to recharge his giant island-destroying laser, and he starts chewing out all of the bosses that lose to you. He starts getting a bit deranged. He starts feeding minions to a giant claptrap that he has, because they're all disappointing him, and they're all just doing silly cartoon slapstick, but K-Rool remains this, like, Dr. Claw evil kind of, no? You've disappointed me for the last time now. And then you get to him, and he starts panicking, and he just immediately ejects, so he doesn't have to do his boss fight with you. He's like, oh shit, I'm gone. But he waits to the very last second because he wants to fire his giant stupid gun. It's literally, you are right outside his door, and he goes, nope! It's such a great character game, and it wants to do so much. There are shooting mechanics to it where you just have Coconut Gun, and you can just turn it into a first-person shooter. It's not a very good shooter. The draw distance actively screws with it. Sometimes you get homing ammo, and that homing ammo is awful and ruins your ability to do any basic function, but it's there. There's a camera that just lets you take pictures of banana fairies. It has the exact same controls as the shooting, but this one has different ammo. You have grenades. They're almost never useful, but sometimes they are.
I'm sorry, are you saying camera grenades, or are the grenades something else?
No, the grenades are oranges.
Okay, I was kind of excited for camera grenades, to be honest, but okay.
No, I'm sorry. But they are filled with delicious potassium.
True.
It's so interesting because this game has so many ideas, it has so many things it wants to do, and it doesn't really do anything well, but you kind of respect the moxie that it's going for. Like, you have this one golden banana, which are your main collectibles, where you have to get to the top of a lighthouse, and in order to activate a pad, you have to solve a puzzle with Donkey Kong. Then you have to get to the top of a lighthouse with Diddy. And then you have to play his guitar. This guitar causes a giant mechanical fish to spawn on the other side of the map. So you have to race to the other side of the map before a timer ticks down as Diddy and go into the giant mechanical fish's mouth. You then have to shoot its giant mechanical heart in between a giant fan that is constantly rotating and shoot its weak point while bees are spawning and the water level of the area is rising in order to get a golden banana. The issue being, if you fail that, you have to do all of the steps over again, and also if you get an upgrade, which improves your sight to a sniper scope, you shoot the peanuts at the heart too slowly because the lag on the N64 is too great for it to register, and the draw distance cuts it off, making it impossible to get.
Oh, jeez!
But it's so unlikely you would ever encounter that scenario because that's an upgrade from World 7 and this is in World 4.
I mean, even still, it sounds like a bit of a rushed game. Am I wrong?
It is literally rushed in the sense of they had to delay it and then they had to get it out by 99. So they brought in people from the Banjo-Tooie team and the Conquer team to get it done. And it is a mess, but like, it is trying so hard, and it is so unafraid to be itself. And there are outright bad portions of the game. Like, there is a race that actively uses the Nintendo 64's lag to its advantage. So if you're running it on good settings on a non-Nintendo 64, you actively cannot beat the race without using glitches because the game runs too fast and too well.
That's hilarious.
It is too clever. There is an emulation of Donkey Kong, the only arcade perfect version that you could get at home up to that point. But it reduces you to only 1 life, so it makes it so much harder to play the arcade Donkey Kong. And you have to do it twice. And the second time it ups the difficulty. There's worthless collectibles in blueprints that you have to get to, which sometimes cause an incredible issue of, oh, you found the teleporter to this one enemy. It's the blueprint for Lanky, but you could only get here with Diddy, so you have to use this teleporter, which should bring you around the world for the exclusive purpose of bringing Lanky to beat up this man. But then all of the blueprints combine to make this giant schematic of K. Rool's gun, and for every one that adds time that you have to do a final timed challenge in the final level, which is actually impossible if you collect no blueprints. But each one makes it easier and easier and makes it a really reasonable challenge, and even trivial if you 101% the game, which I did 101% clear it.
Nice.
The final boss against K. Rool is a boxing match against him, where every single Kong has to perform a unique action, and it tells this hilarious story of, well, first Donkey Kong knocks him silly, and then Diddy Kong goes into the rafters and blows up the stage lights, so he dunks one on K. Rool's head. So then Lanky comes up, and the light is still on K. Rool's head. So you summon banana peels and play the trombone so K. Rool charges at you, but he's blind so he can't see it, so he trips over it. And each one has the Kremling timekeeper saying, oh shit, K. Rool's out, we gotta call off the round.
Right, I've seen those cinematics.
The game ends so strong for the absolute mess of mechanics that it is beforehand. Like, the final boss with K. Rool is such a riot, and the final level is really, really good. But the process in getting there, man, there are constant highs and there are constant lows. It is one of the most insanely uneven games I have ever played.
But now that you have 100% completed it, do you ever see yourself going back to it? Was the experience good enough for that?
Probably is like a joke, yeah.
Alright, nice.
Like, would I play this over either of the Banjo games? No chance in hell. No chance. Those are legitimately great games, and this is a fun, really long sideshow. But does it do things that I get nowhere else? And does it do things in such a fun manner? Yeah, it does. There's so many little areas that just exist for like 3 minutes, and it clearly took a lot of work. Like, you go inside of like this spiral pattern hermit crab shell, and it's got a lot of really neat lighting tricks and really pretty colors, and then you go deeper in and it's revealed that there's just a disco ball there that's doing all the lighting. And it's nowhere else in the game, there's just a random ass disco ball there, but I'll remember that disco ball hermit crab shell.
Nice.
God, such a mess of a game. Can't bring myself to hate it. Can't do it.
Yeah, well, when games try to do that much, even if they fail, like, it's just, there's amusement in the attempt.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for something as charming as that sounds. Like, you gave such a negative intro to it, but then you started just describing how they interact on the character select screen. It's like, this sounds amazing.
Yeah, no, it does so many little things that are amazing, and then it does other things, and you're like, oh god, these things. I have to encourage everyone to play Donkey Kong 64 once in their life. I doubt you'll finish it, but you just have to know. Like, you just have to feel it, because you'll get it. Also, one thing, are you familiar with the minigame Beaver Bother in it?
I'm not familiar with Beaver Bother, no.
Alright, so it's a minigame where you go into a barrel and you're transformed into a claptrap, and you have to herd beavers into a hole in the center. And the issue is, this is a sheep herding minigame where you have to rely on Nintendo 64 AI to go into a hole.
Oh no.
There is a strategy to it, but it's impossible to vocalize because you just kind of feel it after hours of trying. Like, you get it, but it's impossible to leave any sort of directions to. So I'm going through it, and this is the last major world of the game, Creepy Castle, and I've saved Beaver Bother for last. Like, I have a couple of bananas with Chunky, but I know that Lanky has one banana, and it's Beaver Bother. So I go, okay, let's do this. And I spend about an hour on it, but I do it. I get there. And it's really tight and it's really difficult, but I do it. I'm like, that was painful, but it's like the good kind of painful. So then I got 2 bananas left with Chunky. So I'm going around and I'm just going, okay, let's do the last couple things. I go to the last area. I find the last bonus barrel. It goes, welcome to bonus stage. And it's Beaver Bother again. And I have not screamed at a game in a long time. But that one got me. I beat it in 10 minutes because of my previous Beaver Bother experience. But the abject horror of me thinking I'm so smart and then realizing, oh god, no, they did it twice in the same world.
Oh, that is absolutely...
Donkey Kong 64 is not a game that I will always look back fondly on, but I will remember it.
That story makes me feel better about falling with Squitter. At least somebody else gets that horror of no, I have to do it all over again.
But yeah, good game. What else you got?
Let's see. I would really love to talk about Inscryption.
Okay, please go ahead. I've heard a ton about this game, have not touched it myself, but I have the general gist of the game, at least.
Okay, so just as a quick intro to what kind of a game Inscryption is. So you boot it up to the game, you get to the main menu, fairly standard stuff. You go to click new game, and you can't. There is no new game. There is only continue. So you click that, you go in, and there's that weird vibe of just being going to do something, expecting just what you'd expect for these sorts of things, and just it doesn't, is the entirety of what Inscryption is about. This is a card game point-and-click adventure? I think I'd describe it as.
I would say, a card game escape room.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Except that's only the first half of the game. It gets even weirder from there, but I'm not going to talk about that because
that's as much as anyone is allowed to say on a podcast, yes.
Yes. But this game has one of the most just unprecedented atmospheres I've ever seen. For one, it's got this really weird, grainy, dark art style. You got in this, it's a very dark wood cabin, very, very spooky. But it has this weird, kind of pixelated graphics, but there's also 3D models at the same time. I don't know how to describe it.
I would say it's very grainy.
Yeah, the textures are grainy and pixely, but it's still 3D models. And the lighting's so well. Imagine just having a candle in a wooden cabin. It's that.
Right.
And you're locked in the cabin with just some entity that is going to murder you if you don't play cards with it. So, okay. I'm torn because the more... It's the kind of game that you want to go into it knowing as little as possible.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to... I'll share this one bit, just to kind of give a sense of just what this game is. So the
right.
basics of Inscryption is it's your traditional card game. Your cards have different stats, and you're trying to do more damage to your opponents to defeat them. But instead of a traditional health system, it's a scale that's next to your opponents. And for every point of damage you do to him, these little golden teeth will drop down on the scale. But every point of damage he does to you, the teeth will fall on your side of the scale. So you're trying to do enough damage to full-on overpower him and tip the scales to a point that they break.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So it's very much, it creates a lot of fascinating strategies of just trying to, okay, I gotta outlast him for here, because if I can get this set up, I'll eventually be able to overcome him. Which I haven't really seen in card games. There's always that Magic the Gathering of just a simple life system, which is it's a nice change of pace.
Yeah, I like the tug-of-war aspect of it. It's more focused on the moment and the steady progression as well as the OTK rather than just the pure resource management.
Because it creates a lot of interesting setups, lots of boss fights revolve around simple plannings of just okay, focus this thing at this time, or if you bum rush him here, you'll be able to take him out altogether.
Right.
And it just they use that design to do a lot of crazy things. But It's also a card game where you get little side items that you can just use whenever during the card game. You'll have this, there's this card in a jar, and you can break that at any time to get that card on your current field. Because it's roguelike, so you're going through a lot of battles very, very quickly. So you get that kind of sense of like, oh, do I want to save this for later when I might need it more, or do I need it now to like preserve my life for later? But they give you these pliers. They are bloody, they look terrifying, and it tells you like, you can use this to kind of tip the scales in your favor. I'm like, oh, okay, so like a little free life. And I was like, all right, nice. And I was doing just a boss fight. I was almost dead. I did the math. I was like, okay, I don't know how this item works, but if I can tip the scales just a little bit, I'll be able to survive this and probably be able to win. I used the pliers. It shows the pliers going towards the camera. You hear these awful sounds.
Oh,
and
dental
a
plan.
bloody tooth drops on their side of the scales.
Oh, that's exactly what I hoped that would be.
It is horrifying, because the game gives you no warning that, like, it's the first time it gets, like, that gruesome.
Oh, I immediately assumed, but oh.
And it gets so much worse than that.
Nice.
And there's just so many moments like that where you kind of get into a kind of a comfortable vibe with the game, because it's a card game. It's a nice thing to relax. You're like, oh yeah, I'm building my deck. This is cool. But all of a sudden, this just abject horror, like something happens in this game that's maybe more uncomfortable than anything, just like outside of like genuine horror experiences like Dead Space again. It presents itself so, I don't want to say wholesomely, because the art style is still very bleak, but like it's a card game.
Right.
Nothing bad's gonna happen to you in a card game. But very bad things happen to you in this card game.
I like that. I like the sort of grim fairy tale vibe that it has, that sort of unprecedented weight of horror within comfort that it's sort of going for.
For sure. I want to say so much more. I was trying to figure out. I won't say how it happens, but it does a very cool thing that I've never seen any other roguelike do, where it kind of lets you preserve your progress of an individual run and turn it into a card you can find in future runs.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it'll let you, depending on what cards you find, it'll be like, okay, here's 3 cards, pick the power from these cards. And it'll give you another set of 3, pick the health from this, and you'll get another set of 3 and, pick a modifier. And you'll be able to find that combination card later in future runs.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which creates a lot of fascinating, overpowered combinations that just really gets you invested. Like, okay, yeah, sure, I failed this run, but, no run feels like a failure because you could be creating, this insanely overpowered card just through luck of the draw.
Right. Oh, that's clever. I like that.
Oh, I didn't even... the music just adds to the environment so much. This is a game you gotta play with headphones. Because every single boss encounter is designed in a way that, harkens to what they are. I don't want to say anything about them, but you'll hear, what's something I can, compare it to without actually talking about? Say it was Hearthstone, and you're, fighting the innkeeper. You'd hear, tavern sounds behind him. It'd be a very jolly time. These are very dark and grim battles, and they, tie into whatever this boss is in really, unsettling ways. It just completely pulls you into the experience.
Oh, that's sexy. I like the sound of that.
I love this game. And all of that is just, the first bit. I can't even say how it continues on, because it's also a spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
But you hit a point in the game where it becomes 4 more games, I think, if I'm interpreting it right.
I've been told kind of what that is, and I've also been told that part has been done before a bit better by other titles.
Yeah, I will say that
I've been told that the actual card game and environment of that is the strongest aspect of the game, and the game occasionally seems uninterested in that. That's the major criticism I've heard from the outside.
Oh yeah, I think I'd even agree with the criticism. I'm so blown away by what the game has become that I was actually intimidated and left the game for a bit. I'll definitely go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it also kind of changes in the game that loses a bit of what it had at first. But even if that's gone for good, I don't know. I still think, even if it's just that first bit's a contender for Game of the Year for me already.
Yes,
that is so special.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's also just a really solid card game. It's a really good roguelike.
That's what I've been told. I've been told it feels good to play.
You'll get a lot of fun builds based around like various types of animals. You can go for like an insect build or a bird build, an elk build, a wolf build.
I've been waiting for just a comfortable deck builder that has like a solid endpoint. I
recommend this one.
Nice. Because, not gonna admit, they don't make Yu-Gi-Oh! Games for me anymore. They make it for people who care about the card game. I don't. I care about the playground meta. Like something where I can master its card pool and know every little bit of it, as opposed to just the top strats. And that sounds fun. This sounds good.
Yeah, don't like look up at a guide for like top strats for this game. It's so fun to just go through things and be like, oh, what does this card do?
Oh, never.
Some cards don't even explain what they do. Some of them are literally just like, oh, ink has been spilled on this one. You can only read like bits and pieces of the description, so figure it out.
Oh, I love that. That's some good.
But yeah, Inscryption, top tier game.
Excellent. Speaking of games that are better than I thought that they would be, I played Touhou Luna Nights.
Oh.
Are you familiar with the Touhou series at all?
I am, the bullet hell stuff, yeah.
Yes. So this is that, but it's a Metroidvania.
Okay.
The main conceit of it is that you are Sakuya, a character who is a mid-boss in, I believe it was Embodiment of the Scarlet Devil. I've only played like 2 Touhous, and those were like 15 years ago. So
okay, yeah.
I have little knowledge outside of music good, wow them trumpets. He likes them trumpets, don't he? Her gimmick is that she is a maid, and she throws a seemingly endless amount of knives out, and she has the power to freeze time for a few seconds. And if that sounds like a JoJo character, you're right. You did the smart thing there. So it's about translating that skill set, endless small projectiles shot linearly, and the ability to freeze time, and translating that into a Metroidvania environment. And it is done incredibly well. I am surprised at how well done this game is. If you look up any of the sprite work for it, it's gorgeous sprites, just a pleasure to see in motion. They do really clever things with it where some objects will only move in frozen time. Some objects move independently of frozen time. Some objects move backwards in frozen time. You have the ability to just slow time to a snail's pace, which can let you dodge some projectiles. And the interesting thing is that you have 2 separate gauges, a time gauge and a mana gauge. And your mana gauge, any combat action you do depletes that.
Okay.
If you throw any amount of knives, it will deplete that. It slowly regens over time, but if you overcommit, then you'll just have to dodge for a while. You won't be able to attack in any meaningful way. During frozen time, any action you do, including moving, lowers the time gauge, and it only resumes recharging in regular time. But none of your attacks cost mana in it, so you can use that to regenerate mana in frozen time while still getting out attacks. But the neat thing is, when you throw out a knife, it freezes in the frozen time. It freezes in its arc.
Yes.
So you're not doing any damage in it. You're just setting up a wall of knives that when you unpause it, they all rush out.
I love stuff like that.
Yes. And then you get cool abilities, like eventually you get the power as like your traditional Metroidvania upgrade. When you freeze time and you have the knife frozen, you can jump on the frozen knife and use it as a platform.
Oh, whoa, okay.
So it's this constant sort of back and forth between using all of your abilities to their fullest, with the added benefit of you can only take like 4 or 5 hits and you're dead. Like, you are weak at actually taking damage, but your DPS is insane. And it balances that in such a clever way where you're managing all of your systems at once. It's a pretty short game. There are only about 5 major areas to it, and I don't think it hits its stride until like partway through the 3rd one. But when it gets going, it's some of the most clever puzzle platforming I've come across. And as you'd expect from this series, the bosses are fantastic.
I've been watching the Steam trailer along with this, as you've been talking, I'm like, yeah, this looks insane.
Yeah, like when you get to those final bosses and they become brutal tests of endurance, like you have about 100 HP and they get up to around 10,000.
Okay, sounds fair.
One of them has multiple phases. And just the amount of dodging you have to do, the learning of their patterns and deciding, okay, which one is the best one to freeze time on? And which one can I afford to just do in regular time? And which one do I absolutely need to spam my skill? Is such a smart dance and is so well done and is so much fun just discovering this little map. And the best part that I haven't told you about that mixes it all in is that there is a mechanic called grazing. And what grazing does is if you get really, really close to a bullet and you just barely let it dodge you like in a Touhou game, you recover a little bit of health.
Oh, ooh.
And if you do it during frozen time where it's easier, you recover MP.
Oh, I love that for a Metroidvania, because Metroidvanias are usually about, like, when you're playing this, like, Super Metroid, if you want to heal, you have to fight.
Yes.
That, like, takes it to another level.
Yes, and the health only comes to you in regular time. It doesn't come to you in frozen time. So you have to take on those attacks. If you're behind, you have to risk yourself in order to put yourself into a better position. Well, also, if you're doing it for frozen time and you've just unleashed a ton of attacks, you can use a boss's insane pattern and you can weave through that in frozen time. If you still run into it, you'll still get hit. It's just frozen. It's still fire. It will kill you. But if you weave through it, you get all of your MP back. So you're constantly changing in between the frozen time and the regular time, and the systems complement each other so well. And when you get to those endgame bosses, or even the secret bosses, which I did beat, the last final secret boss took me like a solid 2 hours to get through. Oh, it feels so good.
I mean, it sounds... I'm looking at this... I just saw the trailer of how the time affects with water.
Yes.
And like, just... My mind's going crazy with just the amount of... I love time manipulation. That is so cool.
I am so impressed that a game gives you a power this broken and lets you simultaneously feel like an unstoppable god and also like, oh no, I need this or I will die.
I'm impressed they managed to like hit that good of a sweet spot.
Yes.
That is not easy to do.
To my knowledge, this was made by one person and then music and stuff done by others. I know. Yep, it's one of those indie type stories. It might be a team of like 3, but no, the whole Touhou thing is just usually it's one guy making a game, and this is a fan work of that. But, whew, yeah, it's again. I don't think it hits its stride until about 2.5, 3 hours in, and it's not too long. Again, just 5 Metroidvania areas, but what's in there when it gets going is immaculate.
All right then. That's got me heavy tempted. That sounds awesome.
And it's got the Touhou soundtrack. It's embodiment of the Scarlet Devil remixes all the way down, and that's good. It's good music.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Touhou music is incredible, just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I've never played a game, but I will listen to that music constantly.
Exactly. I guess the only thing is, like, it has zero story. Like, it's kind of there, but, like, there's nothing to it, really. It's basically just an excuse to make the gameplay happen.
I can forget. Like, a good story is always nice. That's what I need to, like, consider a game, like, absolutely phenomenal.
Right.
But lacking, I'd rather have no story over a bad story.
Right. I think that's the big negging point for me with Touhou is that, look at all these really cool and cute designs. There's nothing to them, but, like, let your imagination go wild. And I'm like, no, but give me more, though. No, give me the deepness. Give me the deep, rich backstory. And it's not quite there, and it's not there at all in this game, but, like, damn, the little things that this game does make it stand out so well to me.
Oh, yeah, platform with the knives, where they're frozen in time. Oh, that's so good. Oh, that's brilliant. I love it so much.
But that's about all I have to say on it. If anything I said appeals to anyone listening, I recommend you check it out.
I mean, I'm tempted to check it out. That sounds amazing.
It's pretty good. It's pretty quick. If you want to talk about it next month, by all means.
Yeah, I might just. Especially since I can kind of segue that if you're done with...
Oh, go for it.
I actually have something that you recommended in the last video. Because after your just absolutely wonderful praises you sung about this game, I had to try Disco Elysium, and by God, this game is amazing.
Isn't it?
Except now I'm in the same situation that you were in. It was like, okay, I want to talk about this. How much can I say about this?
Exactly.
But let's see. Okay, I can say this just to start off. Right at the beginning of the game, it's told from the perspective of a cop that got so drunk he forgot everything he knows. Literally everything.
Yes.
Like no past, no name, no nothing. Wasn't even sure he was a cop, and you're just kind of slowly rebuilding his character as you play the game. Which, first of all, just leads to so many hilarious interactions, as you can just completely roleplay this guy however you want to, because who knows who he is? You don't, you can be whoever you want to be now.
You are you. You are the cop. What kind of cop are you? What kind of cop were you before? Doesn't matter. You were always him.
I don't think I can describe with words just how good the writing and acting around this character, well, the entire game is.
Right.
Because it's just on another level. There's a very small encounter, like right in the first bit of the game. You just walk out of an inn, and there's just a lorry driver there, just a guy waiting outside of his car.
Oh no, him!
You know, and you just kind of walk up and start talking with him, and you just kind of start like getting to know him. And he's like, no, yeah, I'm just waiting here. He just kind of talks about a few things about his life, and I realized in that moment I was feeling more empathetic towards this character than like 95% of the characters in any other video game, and this is just some small side character just on the road. As far as I know.
That lorry driver. I thought you meant the other lorry driver.
Oh yeah, no, not that one. Not that one.
I thought you meant the one literally called racist lorry driver.
Yeah, no, that should have clarified.
Realized, oh wait, no.
No, this is the nice one that's right outside the door.
Oh yeah, no, he's a great guy.
But yeah, you just talk about it, and he's like, yeah, man, I kind of miss my family and stuff. And he's like, oh, it's written so well that you just feel like you're talking to a human who is having a human moment, and it's wonderful.
Yes, and yet they still have to act around the absolute show that is you.
Yes, but this character is might be one of the best characters I've ever seen. It's contender for number one. And I haven't even gotten through the entire game yet.
Oh, you're going to enjoy it.
Because this character has like 20 other characters inside his head in the way of individual aspects of his personality speaking to him and telling him to do different things. Like
yes.
if there's a bottle of beer in front of him, you'll get like I can't remember, electrotherapy or something like that, electrochemistry.
Electrochemistry, yeah.
Yeah, they'll just be like egging you on, like, oh, look at right there. It's the glorious juice of the heavens, glorious ambrosia. And it'll be like, the voice acting is like, I think it's the same guy, right? For all...
I'm pretty sure, yes, for all the aspects.
But the accents are so all over the place that it feels like all these different characters, like inside out, coming at you, just tries to egg you on and try to guide you through your life.
What build are you going for, out of curiosity?
I went for the one that's really high in empathy, that's also kind of crazy.
Nice.
Which has been so fun.
I did a heavy reflex and savoir-faire build, so it was just Scam Man, but then I got heavy Inland Empire.
Oh, so you're just constantly having, like, visions of other cops that you...
Crazy Scam Man, yes. And Espirited Corps, yeah.
This is one of the densest games I've ever played, because I'm sure every individual aspect of the personality has something to say about just about everything. From what I've seen so far.
Oh, it changes dramatically. Like, you've obviously encountered Measurehead, right?
Yes.
Due to my build, I did not have the ability to fight him.
I mean, I didn't either. I just clicked the button and be like, oh, but we'll see if this works.
Oh, no, as in, that option did not exist for me.
You literally... Oh!
It didn't pop up. I couldn't click it. It wasn't that it was impossible, it was that it was non-existent.
That's fascinating. I didn't even realize it was okay.
I didn't realize it until I realized, oh wait, that's just an option? I never had that option. I could only subscribe to his way of thinking, which I never clicked because no.
Yeah, because no, ew. But wow, okay, the game's even denser then. Because there's options you can't even see. Oh my god, okay. Okay, I want to talk more now, but you just kind of blew my mind.
Right? There are just so many great moments in this game that are just totally player driven. Like, at one point, I go up to Everard, and I'm like, hey, what's up with your boys? And he goes, I have no idea what you're talking about, Harry. And I go, okay. And then I leave, and then I go to the chef, and I realize, oh, hey, random chef, what's up? And he's like, oh, no. And I'm like, okay. Are you adding vodka to all of the soup? And he's going, yeah. Okay, boss says add more vodka. And he nods. And then I go back to Everard, and I'm like, I have solved it, Everard. I have made it extra special. And he goes, I seriously have no idea what you're talking about, Harry. But good for you. You are my special boy. That is the end of that plot line. I got no benefit from it.
And there's so many things like that I have one that I haven't figured out yet, but I'm so fascinated to see how it works. Mm-hmm. There's just this shipping crate you can walk up to.
Oh, that's a good one.
And you can be like, you can try to open it or anything, and nothing works. It's locked. You bang on it, it doesn't work. Then you get an option for logic to come in, and logic is like one of the mental stats that's usually like level-headed to try and persuade it to open, and it has a chance to succeed.
Yes.
I don't know how the hell that works, but just the fact that that option is there is one of the most enticing things I've ever seen in a video game.
You might, or you might not.
Because like the chance to succeed, it's like 2% chance to succeed. So I have no idea if that's ever going to happen. But like, your character is so crazy that it just presents options to you that might succeed. And it will follow through with like, yeah, that just worked.
Oh, my favorite little thing is just having the loading menu tooltip go, you know, don't feel afraid to try and be a little crazy. You could get away with a lot. Remember, you're a cop.
Yeah, and you do get away with so much. I want to go through a playthrough of just being unabashedly insane. Just like, yeah, I'm a mess and I'm proud of it. Because I keep seeing those options and I'm so tempted to click them.
Oh, that depends on how far you go. That greatly changes things.
I could see it blowing up in the character's face because this is definitely a game. This game pulls no punches whatsoever.
Oh, absolutely not.
Like that, it's outright brave in how uncomfortable it's willing to make the player. There's some things that have happened in this game that I'm not comfortable talking about, like what it did to my head. It's like, oh, that's hitting a little too close to home. I have a drinking problem, and no. I have had to step away from this game with just how well it's written and how eager it is to just point that writing cannon at you and fire.
It is, you can go in any direction. It's not a game that will ever back off. It will let you follow through, and it will judge you for it.
Oh god, yes. At the beginning of the game, like, when I'm playing one of these sorts of games, I like to just click every option, just because it's fun. I like seeing what the characters will say, just everything. This game punishes you for that really badly. You feel bad. Like you're a drunk or something, and I'm just like, oh, with this kind of writing, what will this drunkard say to this attractive lady? If you say this, I'm like, oh yeah, it's just something foul. It's like, oh, haha, I should have expected something like that. But then later on, you have to interact with that person again, and your partner will be like, okay, have you seen anything to this person before? And you just have that slow, dawning horror of, oh god, no, why did I click that button?
Could you please repeat it verbatim?
I believe it's, I want to have fuck with you, is what the character said.
Very well, officer.
And it's just, it's kind of an Undertale vibe in that way of punishing you for playing the game as a game, and I could see people being turned off in that way, but holy shit, I've never felt the things I've felt with this game playing anything else.
It doesn't punish you mechanically in any way in that sense.
It's all story-based.
It only
punishes you by making
morally.
you feel like an awful person.
Yes, if you are not initially invested and then become invested, then that's a problem.
Yeah, it's a very big problem.
It is so good at making you roleplay. No, there's a great moment later in the game that I don't mind spoiling to some extent, because it's not story related, where you're just talking to a bunch of people, and they're like, oh, so where do you stand on this? And you can go, oh, the working man needs to rise up. All of our brothers need to unite under the glorious flag of communism. Or, you know what? The working man sucks. They're sheep that are to be exploited. And the third option that says, you know what? Can you give me something? Can you give me an option that isn't fascist or communist? And the game goes, no. You will pick one of these communist or fascist options, or you will fuck off. That is a verbatim quote.
That's another thing about the game I could see turn people off. You can play the character having very strong political viewpoints. It is very, very, very...
I can, but there are so few games that are willing to go, yeah, we're willing to say something about this, but we're willing to say whatever about it, but we still have our viewpoint.
And I respect that, like, all hell. Like, again, this game is so brave in how it's written.
I know. But yeah, I love this game. You're going to have to let me know when you get a very bad phone call.
Oh, God, okay, Oh, no. Oh. I can think of so many different things that could be based on what I already know. I'm scared.
You'll know when you get to it.
This is a game where I've already had, like, hundreds of great moments that I have laughed out loud. I have had to, like, I've got an emotional reaction. I've had to pause the game for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I have been horrified. I've been delighted. I've gone through, like, the entire emotional spectrum. And I love all that. Completely unrelated, but Kim is one of the best characters ever.
I love Kim so much.
What an amazing way to put a morality system into a game. By having this just absolute sweetheart of a man following you around that you want to do good things for, if only because you don't want to disappoint him.
You want to know the craziest thing?
What?
You can make him leave.
Oh no. Oh, that would break my heart.
You can go
totally
too far.
believe it.
And, like, it won't be instant. He'll just go, hey, about that. Did you mean what you said? What do you mean by that?
Oh, no, I know in what way, too. Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah, because all of it, like, yeah, it's a very uncomfortably real world in just, like, how there's just upfront stereotypes, outright aggression towards you. Like you're an officer of law, and some people will treat you like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it amazes me that they're willing to make, like, like, characters that most people would consider good people outright abrasive to you, because of course you would be. They don't like you.
Yeah.
You're a symbol of the problems they're having right now.
Yeah.
It treats everyone like they are human, in both that everyone has something awful about them, and everyone has a good reason for thinking that from their perspective. It pulls no punches in that way.
Yes. God, what a fascinating game. I can't wait for you to finish it.
I'm definitely going to. Like, this is... It's a special experience. Like, I could say so much more, but I'm trying to... I feel like I've already said too much.
Okay, imagine that, but imagine that I finished the game.
Yeah, I can. Like... And there's still probably so much that you haven't even seen. That you'll never see because the game's so just that much... And the game didn't have voice acting originally. They put that in for all of it. And it's the best voice acting I've ever heard.
Right? Like, I have favorite individual performances, but across the board, this game is... Oh, it's incredible.
There's no bad performances. Well, at least I haven't heard any yet.
Yep.
I'll end up on one more thing. Just because it's the most delightful thing ever. Those personalities in this character's head, they will sometimes interact with each other and kind of compete as... Like, you're going through life and different, like, aspects of your, like, what you value will be pushing you in different directions.
Mm-hmm.
That happens here, and it's the funniest thing ever.
Oh, yes, it is.
Like, you're talking to an attractive woman, and, like, your logic side of you will kick in, and you're like, hold on, are you noticing what's happening here? And, like, other parts of the person will be like, yeah, I think I am too. I think she's playing us. Then other parts of you are like, no, she's attractive. She couldn't be doing anything wrong. Look at her. And it's just so funny. Just, like, see the basic aspects of, like, humanism, like, different urges and, like, logic and, like, all coming together to be, like, manually narrating just how a person's brain works. And it's so fascinating and hilarious to see, because they're all absolutely hilarious.
Yes.
Like, electrochemistry will chime in, like, oh, I'm doing fine. Oh yeah? How do you feel about her? She's glorious. Are you drunk on her? No. Yes.
Yes.
Or like, when someone will say something snarky to your character, I'll throw this interaction out as well. You're talking to this adorable sweetheart of a little girl that's just kind of having a hard life, and you kind of delight her with like, oh yeah, I'm a cop and I have deduction skills. I'm like, oh, I noticed this thing about you. And he's like, oh, that was awesome. And you're like, okay, you did do something about me, and she'll just like snarkily reply, you are a very sober person, which this character is the absolute opposite of that, and that's already hilarious. But it will describe in great detail how your partner Kim is standing there unmoving. It is impressive just how much he isn't moving right now. He is using his entire being not to show any sort of reaction at that comment. He does this constantly through the game of like how the game will narrate how hard he's trying not to laugh at the absurd antics going on, and it makes him the best character ever.
It really does. Oh my god.
Yeah, Disco Elysium is the easiest 10 out of 10 I could ever recommend to somebody. Like, even if you bounce off of it, watch someone play through the first 20 minutes or something just to get an idea of what the game is.
This is my easiest. Get it on Steam and play it for an hour. And if you need to refund it, that's fine. Because it's not a game for everyone. But it's Absolutely. A game everyone should try.
Yeah, because if you do like it, it's special.
It is.
I will probably talk about it next month because it's just that special. All right, so you got one more game there for you.
Technically, it's one more game. But... So, I played some Pokemon. Not going to make it a surprise that I am doing a video on a Pokemon in the very near future. Might be out by the time this comes out. And I played through Pokemon Blue, part of Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Gold, Pokemon Emerald, and Pokemon Diamond. All with very quickly back to back to back. And I have to tell you, there is no more miserable franchise to think about than Pokemon, where that doesn't matter in the slightest when you're playing it, because playing Pokemon feels awesome.
It's the eternal curse of the series, right?
Like, God, if I could just not think about Pokemon, except when I want to buy a plush, or when I'm playing Pokemon, then I would have an amazing time. Because every time that I am just in the mood of, okay, I want to build a team, I want to have a nice time, Pokemon is such a great time. I experimented so much with various Pokemon that my only condition was that I couldn't have ever used the Pokemon before.
Oh, those are always the best runs.
Yeah, and I had such a great time. Pinsir in blue version was absolutely fantastic. Persian in blue version, absolutely miserable. It doesn't learn Slash until level 56. And that's the only reason that you use it. Yes. Because it's an auto crit every time, but it doesn't use it until you're like post Elite 4 level. I soloed Lance with a level 47 Wigglytuff.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
That knew Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Rest, and Sing. And that's all it needed to stall out every single one, endure every hit, put them to sleep, rest it off, and hit them for their weaknesses. It was the most thrilling little mini challenge that I ever gave to myself. I love Wigglytuff now. So much. I just had an absolute blast going through these games that I know like the back of my hand. I was also playing them at 3 times speed.
Yeah, smartly.
For recording purposes, I would go like, okay, I'll do this really, really quick, but when I'm actually recording the footage, I'll go at the regular speed of the game. God, those are slow. Like, especially Diamond. Diamond was miserable whenever I played the game on its own terms. Absolutely a miserable experience. Everything moves at a snail's pace to do any action. But at times 3 speed, that was pretty enjoyable. I really appreciate Wishcash now. Blissey, not at all. Go die. Honchkrow, yeah. Akechi served me very well.
Oh, that's perfect, yes.
Isn't it? Yeah, no, Akechi the Honchkrow and Pink Menace the Wigglytuff were my favorite boys. Oh, that's right, and Antoinette the Pinsir that knew Guillotine.
Yes! that is a just 10 out of 10 name. Well done.
Thank you. But yeah, overall, just Pokemon is good, guys. Can we shut the fuck up about Pokemon? If I could just play Pokemon without thinking about Pokemon, that'd be amazing.
I might change that is to was, just because if I ever want to play a Pokemon experience, like you just listed off the games I'd turn to.
Well, I'd still try Gen 5. I'd still try Gen 7 if I had a fast forward. Like, imagine Gen 7 at a consistent frame rate fast forwarded.
Yeah. I'd probably enjoy it. Pokemon really lost me when it transitioned into 3D. Just because it was kind of what we were talking about earlier of the, using the imagination to fill in the blanks. Just the dead idle animations and lack of attacks just really killed the charm of a lot of the Pokemon, which is a big part of why you play the game.
I agree, but like, I'd still like to enjoy the unique things that Pokemon wants to present. I just don't want to do it at Pokemon's pace.
Yes, I see that.
You know, that just proves that the greatest Pokemon game ever is Pokemon Stadium 2 with the transfer pack and the Dodrio Game Boy Tower. That counts as a game. If Sonic 3 and Knuckles counts as a game, Pokemon Stadium 2 with transfer pack and Dodrio Game Boy Tower is also a game.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. Just out of curiosity, what was the favorite of the one you played?
It's always going to be Gen 1 for me. I've done Gen 1 so many times that just isn't comfort, that is experimentation. Like, that is, at its purest, the most fun. But I was surprised at how much I enjoyed Emerald on replay.
Yay!
I thought that Hoenn was a lot better designed of a region than I gave it credit for, and the difficulty curve of that game was surprisingly solid.
That one's almost been my favorite, just my go-to. It has the nicest, like, that there's not really any moments, like, even with all the water, you can just repel that off, but there's not really any moments of like, oh, I gotta go through this place again. It's just a nice flow.
What was my team for that? Let me check that really quick. Because I did like my team, but I kind of liked everyone a bit evenly in that one. So let me... Yeah, that was a team of Bayonet, Hariyama, Swalot, Gardevoir, Crawdaunt, and Altaria.
Nice.
Oh god, Hariyama was a superstar that whole game. Such a fun Pokemon to use.
Surprisingly underrated Pokemon.
He sucks at the start as Makuhita, but as soon as he gets some decent moves, he's so much fun. And that's the thing I love about Pokemon. I'm still discovering that I am enjoying doing this run now. Like, with a different team, with a different style, with different weaknesses. So yeah, that's my stance on Pokemon. It's horrible, but then you play the game and it's great. Except for the part where you play the game on its own terms.
It's such a fascinating... It is perfectly enjoyable in a vacuum, and miserable once you stepped out of it.
Yes.
Gen 8 kind of just failed to capture that altogether with me.
Gen 8 is the first one I didn't buy.
I feel like that's where I felt like the most of that, just that vibe of just like, okay, I can't even appreciate this outside of its vacuum. It's so clear how cracked the vacuum is here.
Yeah.
Like, I will still always love the series overall. I'll just always go back.
And I do want to say, in defense of Gen 8, Stonejourner, top 10 Pokemon design.
Oh yeah, I'll give you that.
I love him. He's like a rejected Kirby boss.
A lot of good bugs as well. I don't like many of the Gen 8 designs, but the bugs are pretty solid.
I know people hate the little nerd bug. I love him.
Yeah!
He's spiffy.
Got a little bow tie and everything. It's adorable.
I like him more than his evolutions.
I mean, I'll give you that. I like Orbeetle, but like...
Nah, Blipbug is amazing, and if you're wrong and have a different opinion, I will tear out your tongue. God, Pokemon is the worst.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing about Gen 8. Shining hunting in Gen 8 sucks. That's what's kept my love of the series alive for so long. It was fantastic in Gen 7. I found so many.
I have no interest in the process.
I can't even describe it. It's like white noise when you just want to turn your brain off and just wait for that. Like fishing, I guess, is the closest thing I can put it to.
Okay. I'd rather do fishing, like in a video game. Fishing in real life is terrible.
What, you don't like being eaten alive by mosquitoes?
No, and I don't like smelling like pond scum for the next 2 days.
I can't imagine why. I'm glad that the Pokemon love hasn't been tarnished for you yet. Like, I'm hoping that Gen 9 can respark it for me. It's so hard to get out of that rabbit hole once you've fallen in. And because you don't really want to fall back out, because you feel bad about liking it.
Yeah, I might touch Arceus, but also I don't want to because it's Pokemon, but I'll like it because it's Pokemon.
With Gen 9 looking to be just the same thing, I'm not really feeling a desire whatsoever now. Like, I was kind of tempted, but like, if they're just taking that same idea, if Arceus was just a tech demo...
But there's a crocodile.
There is a crocodile. Yes.
Oh, if he evolves into something cool and I can name him K-Rool, I'm done.
Crocodile's gonna be a chef, Duck's gonna be a sailor, and the cat's just gonna make me uncomfortable looking at it, because Pokemon evolutions can't be humanoid, anything but humanoid.
The cat's gonna evolve into Tito from Rocket Power. I believe that the Tito is going to be what carries through every evolution. I don't even remember Tito's voice, I just remember that I like him.
Oh god. Yeah, I can see it. Anything else to say about Pokemon?
No, I guess if I have to do a quick ranking, I guess I'd go Blue, Emerald, Silver, Diamond of what I played.
I've never gotten around to 4. And there's no way in hell
play
I'm
Platinum.
Getting the... Yeah, obviously you play Platinum if you get those ones, but there's no way in hell I'm getting the remakes. Those are...
Yeah, I'm including those in it. Play Platinum.
For sure, for sure. I do genuinely want Pokemon to, like... I want to love Pokemon. I may say mean things about it, but I want that to come back for me. I'm not saying it of it just to be mean to the series.
No, I don't. I love Pokemon. Don't fucking talk to me about Pokemon.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, but I did have one more game, and it's one that really took me by surprise. Because even before all of the terrible accusations about the company came out, I've fallen off the boat hard when it comes to just Blizzard products in general. Because Blizzard's quality has been dead for years.
Yeah.
I've never really found World of Warcraft all that appealing. Diablo 3 was a bit of a mess. Overwatch was fine, but that kind of felt like its own side island, the Jeff Kaplan island that was for a little bit untarnished, but people left the company, games have been gutted, the lore's been ruined about so many different aspects, and it's just, they killed Heroes of the Storm and that was the nail in the coffin. I didn't, especially with everything going on there, I never expected anything to draw me back into them. But then something was pointed out. I got a random recommendation on YouTube about an aspect of these games that thankfully have remained mostly untouched by the problems of the company. Because Blizzard games have always been famous for custom content. Giving the fans the tools to make whatever they want in their engines.
That is 90% of the reason why I love Warcraft 3.
I totally agree with you with that. Just because we have a very large Nintendo audience, I feel like this gets overlooked by anybody that doesn't play these games. You can make literally anything in these games. You see Mario Maker? Oh, that's pretty cool. You can make a whole level. You can make entire games in these map editor engines. I have seen first-person shooters in Starcraft 2. I have seen auto chess. I have seen turn-based tactics games. I'm pretty sure anything is possible just because of how dense these games are. They let you change any variable. You can mix and match models in any way you can. You can import models, you can import voice acting, you can import music. You can make your own campaigns in these games. I'm trying to come up with specific examples, but it's just, you can make Mario in StarCraft.
Oh, you're completely right. The reason that I got into Warcraft 3 was because they made a mini RPG where you go into top-down versions of various video game worlds, and Mario was playable, and Link was playable, and Vivi from Final Fantasy IX was playable.
Yeah!
And Ryu Hayabusa was playable, and Master Chief was playable, and for some reason Goku was playable. And, it wasn't very good, but it had imported Goomba models, it had imported Mario models, it had so much little stuff. You fought Sephiroth and Jenova.
Yeah, and just amazing stuff like that is just rampant throughout the entire thing. And like you said, that wasn't very fun to play. Some things are just as ridiculous and play like a dream.
Yes.
I have played what is essentially Battle for Middle-earth in StarCraft 2, and it was just such a nice breath of fresh air having that franchise back. The amount of Lord of the Ring mods in general in those games is truly impressive.
Oh no, I believe it. And please, the amount of tower defenses that I've played in Warcraft is innumerable.
Oh, don't even get me started.
And how many of those I actually enjoyed. Yeah.
There's poker tower defense, lottery tower defense, and every single one is essentially being like, yeah, I'd probably pay for this if it was a game on its own, but it's just a map that somebody else made and threw out to the public.
Yes.
Mario Maker almost annoyed me for how much people were praising that game when I've had what is so much better for all my life. Just be like, oh, if you console peasants even knew the things I've seen.
Yes, says the Little Big Planet fan smoking in the corner.
There was one thing in particular that I want to focus this on, because the recommendation that was given to me was that somebody had taken the storyline campaign of Starcraft 2, which was really good. I don't like the story, but the actual level designs are pretty solid, and turned them into 3-player co-op games.
Okay.
And I have 2 brothers that both love Starcraft, so that was like a no-brainer. Okay, we gotta try this. And it has been surprising and absolutely delightful to see these missions I've been played over and over and over again, and see how they've shifted to allow for 3 players. That changes in a lot of different ways, because some RTS missions are just like basic hero missions, like you got a set group of guys, you don't lose the guys because then the mission's over. It'll actually create and present different heroes that everyone can use. Sometimes just taking them from other bits of the game, but in other areas, they have created entirely new units with completely new abilities they built from the ground up, and it all feels pretty balanced with what the original game had. It's not quite full on, like a Terraria, Thorium, this just feels like an entire expansion of the main game, but it's pretty damn close. And it has been absolutely delightful to see how someone can take these well-established areas and be like, okay, how can we make it so there's enough depth here for 3 people to go through this? Because the way that, I've only gotten through the first StarCraft 2 expansion so far, the Terran one, the humans.
Right. The good music one, yes. I'm right. I know nothing about the game and I'm right.
If it was StarCraft 1, I could disagree so easily, but it's StarCraft 2, and I literally can't remember any of the other music from the other ones, which is kind of a knock against them.
Well, yeah, but I barely played StarCraft, and even I know what Terran 1 is.
Oh, yeah. But don't disrespect the Zerg StarCraft 1 music.
Okay.
That stuff's amazing. Amazingly atmospheric. I don't know how they make those sounds, but it makes you feel like you're just part of a hive mind. And I mean that in the best way possible.
All right, fair.
But the way that the Terran campaign works is that you get money for each mission you complete, and you can spend that money on various upgrades to your units. Being like, oh, I want my Marines to be a little more tanky, I'll give them shields so they have a little more HP, or my siege tank can keep killing my guys, let's get this upgrade that makes it so they deal a lot less friendly fire damage, stuff like that. But the way the campaign is designed, there's not much room for creativity. There's a lot of obvious, just pick this one because this is the right thing to do. Marines are very core units because you have them all the time, so you're like, okay, we have to get those, you have to get the mechs to heal them, you need these guys, you need bunkers to be alive. And it doesn't really feel like you're really choosing your own adventure because there's the good options and the sucky ones. But this co-op campaign has done just something so fascinating by making... They didn't really rebalance things, more so that they just added new options to make those other areas more appealing. So you'll be like, oh yeah, we got these predators. They're these awesome robotic cats. They look so cool, but they're kind of useless because they die to literally everything. So the person that made it was like, okay, let's give them this ability to make them, if you have one in your army, everybody else attacks faster. They have this aura that you have, and it's suddenly turns this completely meme unit into a vital part of your team that you always want to have one with you. Or there was a really fun moment, the cool thing about making that 3-player co-op is that you can each choose your own separate builds. I went very heavy on support stuff, getting lots of healing units, lots of casters, a hell of a lot of nukes just to be the person enabling everybody else, while my one brother went heavy ordnance and the other went pure infantry.
Right. And
there's this mission where the entire map is covered with generators that slowly chip away at your health. And it's at a fixed rate, so it's generally designed in a way that you're supposed to go through it with really beefy units, like battle cruisers, really big capital ships that can survive being in those areas for a long time.
Right.
But the way it's designed is that you're against the Protoss in that mission. The Protoss aren't affected by it because they have personal shields that block the effects of it all entirely. Kind of how that race is balanced. So I was kind of confused, how's my infantry brother gonna get through this? He's built entirely around this small swarming 30 health units, there's no way he's gonna be able to do this, he's just gonna have to sit out and defend in the base. I forgot that in the mission, beforehand, he found an upgrade that gives his units just a slightest bit amount of shielding. It's not really helpful in the long run, but I was kind of just mocking him, oh yeah, you're kind of useless here, let me go ahead and go through, I'll take the battle cruise and just win the game for you. I just watched his infantry just walk into the field unscathed, and it took me 5 seconds. I was wait, this isn't right. No, this isn't right. This is impossible. I click on one, I see the little blue bar, And I don't think I have ever had that big of a eureka moment of like, oh my god, that breaks this level.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Just that feeling of just seeing something I've seen over and over and over again. I know the rules of this. I know how this works. This is right. It's been like, oh my god, you genius.
Oh, it's so good seeing just like these weird ass rogue strategies come into play and just watching it flourish.
And that's the beauty of like this custom kind of content, because anybody can do anything with that sort of thing. I could list so many other examples. Like there's an option that's you can make every mech unit give them a small teleport ability, and that applies to anything.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, which is not how it's supposed to be. That's usually devoted to a single unit on the Protoss side, but you're like, no, teleporting tanks, have fun with this. And yet the game is also still balanced around that because they've taken those things into account. And they like throw more things at you. The enemy tactics will be more aggressive. It's so nice seeing a company, a bunch of designers, realize that giving tools to make more lets their games be fleshed out even more.
And no one is a better playtester than your most loyal fans.
Exactly. Like, I generally play Nintendo games for the most part nowadays, just because it's what my content revolves around.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so frustrating just to see how stingy Nintendo is with everything they have.
Yes.
I was shocked to see a map editor in Advanced Wars. That is one of the least Nintendo things I have ever seen.
Oh, Nintendo used to do it. Like, there's Advanced Wars. They had one on the expansion pack of F-Zero X. Excite Bike, very early and did that. Wrecking Crew had one.
Okay, so Nintendo used to be cool in that way.
Yeah.
And maybe this is the start of them being cool again? I don't know.
Look, Nintendo used to be cool is a very accurate statement 90% of the time.
True. I just wanted to gush about the brilliance of map editors. It's a difficult thing to create just because you have to take into account so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
You were basically building a game within a game.
Yes.
You're not even a game, you're building a program within a game. But if you devote the time to it, like Starcraft's never gonna die because of this.
Yes.
Despite Blizzard's best efforts, it will not die.
And who knows, maybe it will take on new life.
Yeah.
There is actual hope for it, and then Crash Bandicoot can be in it.
I feel so bad that my mind keeps drifting to this, because the priority at Blizzard should absolutely be fixing the problems that were there. That is obvious, that there is so many horrible things have happened over there, but like that speculative part of my brain just can't help but start worrying, being like, all of these studios just got access to my favorite video game properties on the planet. And my brain just wants to go crazy.
A Starcraft game published by Rare.
My whole thing is like, I used to initially love Halo because I thought it was just another version of Starcraft.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so many parallels between those atmospheres.
Yeah.
Like, Terran Marines, Halo Spartans, the entire Covenant and Protoss, the Flood is just the Zerg. It's a fairly common trope that happened before both of those games even existed, but like, the fact that any kind of crossover there is even remotely possible now. I could see the Arbiter dueling a Protoss Zealot in just some sort of crossover game. My biggest dream game ever has been like a Battlefront-styled Starcraft. Just get that asymmetry, but take that sort of like Star Wars Battlefront 2, just kind of vibe with that. And they just got acquired by the biggest FPS people on the planet, and just,
Yeah, but like, consider Banjo, Crash, Friend.
I would love to see Banjo just pop up in World of Warcraft or something like that. That's the next Oh, he's just a morphed Pandaren.
Oh shit, Conker's going to be in Call of Duty, isn't he?
Because I know there's genuine concerns about like the monopoly side of things, which are valid, absolutely valid.
Yes.
But in any case for something like this to happen, this is the best time for it to happen.
Yes.
When a company is being mismanaged horribly and horrible things are happening to them, that is the perfect excuse for something else to step in, a bigger entity to go and gobble them up and hopefully fix things.
Yes.
And if I happen to benefit from it, so I can live out all my dreams of all these franchises colliding, then that's just a happy accident that I'm happy to exploit.
Yes. Let's all exploit it together.
That sounds so horrible.
Isn't it?
that's all I have to say about games I've played this month. Anything else from you?
Nope, that is it for me for games I've played, but let's look into the future, because right now, we're using Future Sight.
Future Sight!
That's the name of the segment now.
We're actually naming it that now. Okay, I'm down for that.
I thought... Do you have a better idea?
No, I'm down for this.
Okay.
But can we keep this just a bit about us debating about it over?
No, that's
just
in.
For the laughs.
That's in.
But
yeah. Go ahead.
Normally the game side won't last this long, because we're planning on splitting this into bits and pieces of just being like, now we're going to talk about like what we're excited about in the future, kind of what we're working on right now. Just a bit of a checking in, see what's on the horizon, and seeing what's up.
Yes.
And like, I know there's plenty of things on the horizon. There's this giant pink puffball obscuring my vision of anything else, and it kind of seems like nothing else really matters at the moment.
Yeah, it's like somehow it's wrapping around like 70% of my body, and I just can't think. I've lost all autonomy. It's just this weird pink stretch that makes me feel uncomfortable, and yet I'm okay. I am but a sleeve, and that is fine.
It is so disconcerting to see that, but I love what it's doing for the gameplay.
I love how hard they're leaning into it. Like, because they know.
Oh, absolutely.
But they're like, oh, but look at it, though. Look at all this shit we can pull off. It's so much fun. This is Kirby in the Forgotten Lands, and I'm so excited.
Absolutely. Like, as much as I love the series, I will wholeheartedly admit it hasn't changed much in this lifetime.
Yes.
Like, each game will kind of have its own idea, but it's all running on the same formula.
Since Return to Dreamland, Superstar did its own thing, and then people wondered for about 14 years, why did they never do it again? And then we did it again, and then we kept doing it, and people were like, God damn, this is great. But this is all there is, isn't it? They were like, sure. Yes, but it's great.
Kirby 64 had its own weirdness as well.
It
did.
Just
nostalgia goggles for me.
I don't mean to debunk any other Kirby game, but I'm just saying they made a perfect game, then they made that remake to that game 13 years later, or 14 years later, and then they made games based off of that, and one of them was also perfect.
Yeah, and even the non-perfect ones are still pretty great.
Yeah.
I have not played a bad Kirby game. I played lackluster ones, but...
Yeah, I played lackluster, but yeah.
But yeah, Forgotten Land just seems to be like, this is a new chapter, and the Kirby developers are treating it that way, the same way as well.
Yes.
Which just has me so excited of just like, there's a possibility that everything they've shown in the trailer is just all the game has, but I got a feeling that it's not, and just how dense this game might be has me so excited.
If it is all the game has, I'll still be happy.
Yeah, true.
Like, what has been shown, it just excites me to such a degree. And just having Kirby's whole thing has always been, he is always the master of his terrain. He is always the strongest thing on the screen at all times.
Yes.
And infinite potential. And they have found ways to expand that into a 3D environment. And just the idea of making something in the sort of Bowser's Fury kind of mold into a pure playground for Kirby to absolutely destroy is so tantalizing. My mouth is watering.
For sure. And the fact that I feel like the mouthful mode was mouthful mode was enough as is.
Mm-hmm.
But they're even taking that and adding on like the power-up upgrades as well.
The branching copy abilities are just
idea that is.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, God. And they made DDD hot again.
DDD was always hot.
Yes, but they did it again.
And now he's badass hot. I cannot wait to hear the rendition of DDD's theme that goes with that design. That's gonna be amazing.
Oh my gosh.
I'm already getting goosebumps from like the little bits of music they've shown. Like the end stinger of that trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting nostalgic for that. I've never heard it before.
Yo, what's the best version of DDD's theme?
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah. What's the best one?
My gut feeling was the Mask DDD from Triple Deluxe. I think that's just because that's partially due to the fact that you beat him, he roars, grabs a giant axe off of its pedestal, and just goes to town on everything.
Yes.
Might be a bit of bias showing there, because that was amazing.
Because I have two clear nominees, and one is History of Dedede, where it's the big 64 Dedede fight, and it goes through all of his themes in sequential order, and they just flow one into the next.
That one does make me pretty happy, yeah.
And then there's the D3 Canon from Plant Robobot, where it mixes it with the Revenge of Men I End theme.
Oh, yeah! Oh, Brawl theme as well. I've heard it so many times.
Yes.
So it's got, but that is a bop.
Yeah. No, Brawl theme is one of the best songs on the Brawl soundtrack.
Yeah, there's just so many good contenders, but yeah, oh god,
Kirby.
I just remember how amazing Brawl. Yeah, Kirby's just great,
isn't he?
Setting aside how many of the power-ups seem to be inspired by Kirby 64, which is just an instant win from me.
Yeah.
That just opens up the game in so many interesting ways. Because, like, what if there's, like, different areas you can only get with certain levels of the power-up, and you're, like, plan and choose, like, I need this for this area, or I need this for this area. Or even if it's just a full-on upgrade, that's still awesome.
Yes. Can you imagine by the time that we're talking next month, we'll probably both have beaten this game?
Oh, I am 100% beating this as soon as possible. This is a...
Yeah.
If it's not a one-night sitting, it's gonna be close.
Yeah, same here.
This is really the only game I'm looking forward to this year, to this level of hype. Like, there's others I'm kind of, like, interested in. Like, I'd love to see what Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak does. Breath of the Wild 2 intrigues me, but this, I'm hyped for Kirby.
Same. And I do have a couple more that I'm hyped for, and I will always be hyped for the DK game that they just won't announce, but I know it's real.
At this point, it's been willed into existence.
It's real. It's real. They just won't show it yet. It's real.
Yes, like Star Fox Racing.
It's real. it's there.
No, I believe. There's too many stars lining up for that to not result in something.
Whew.
Like the amusement park on top of his resurgence in Super Mario Odyssey, giving that much of a spotlight to him. Like, come on, there's gotta be something.
You know what? I'm going to just say I wanted to save it for the end of the segment, but I'll do it right now. I'm going to make a bet with you. King K. Rool will be relevant by the end of the year.
What's the stakes of the bet?
It's an open wager. I'm willing to let you decide the terms of the stakes.
Okay. Feel free to veto this, but I think it'd be funny. Whoever loses has to cover one of the DK cartoon songs.
Done.
For losing the bet. Yes!
Done.
Chosen by the other person.
Yes. Done.
Excellent. I accept the bet.
It's a contract. Yeah. Hands shaken.
Handshake it.
This is it.
Okay, I'll take the bet he's not going to be relevant. I don't believe that enough, but I'm also okay with losing the bet, so yeah. I'll take that.
Yeah, cutting my hand, blood pact. It's real now.
But yeah, that's going to happen. Dongyong something is going to happen at some point. For sure.
It's okay, breathe. I'll talk about Live Alive now.
Go for it.
Because I am so excited for Live Alive. We've done an entire Let's Play of this game on our channel. We call it Live Alive the entire time because it's a much easier to say name. But
right.
Yeah. But this is such an incredible RPG that so many games take inspiration from. Undertale. Chrono Trigger was directly inspired by it. Some other ones, but those are like the clear big two that take so heavily from its influence. The morality system going full pacifist, full genocide, that started here. And every single chapter is inspiring in a different way, is unique in a different way. I would call this the Kirby Superstar of JRPGs.
Damn!
Well, I mean that in a literal sense of its progression, because do I think it's as perfect as Kirby Superstar? Hell no, Kirby Superstar is a perfect game. But in the way where it goes in, you sample this style of gameplay, you get what you want out of it, and it gets out, it does an amazing job. Every single chapter is directed by a different manga artist, I believe. Yoko Shimomura in her first JRPG composing role, and she knocks it out of the park. Every single scenario is a send-up of its genre. For example, the Caveman chapter has no spoken dialogue, but it takes comedy cues from like Caveman manga, from gag manga, from stuff like Gone, from stuff like the Flintstones. Has some 2001 A Space Odyssey references in there. The Cowboy chapter is so very clearly inspired by The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but also John Wayne films. It pays homage to a bunch of things. It has some random NPCs, and they have the names Clint, Gene, Wayne. Are the only good things about you your names? Get to work. It's just that constant level of reverence for source material. There is, like, Voltron, Super Sentai inspirations combined with Akira in one chapter. There is a full homage to Street Fighter 2. And on top of that, I think that the ending note that it leaves on and its ending story is one of the first great tragedies of video games. One of the first greatly presented and ran tragedies in the classic Greek sense.
Okay. Got my attention.
I think that this is one of the strongest games, and what it needed for the longest time was a decent translation and conveyance, because that game is ugly as hell, and it also has issues of like, okay, where do I go? Because the maps are done from a top-down view, where side views are not all that prevalent. The Ninja chapter in specific suffers a lot from that. But with this graphical update that the game is getting, so much of that is already fixed. Just in the small clips that they have from Ninja, I can tell that immediately.
Excellent.
It's not just a presentational thing. The readability of this game is going to be great. I recommend this to anyone who cares about video games.
I was already planning on getting it before this podcast started, but I'll double down on that and saying, yeah.
Get it. I will gladly just talk about it if you feel like it.
I'm feeling pretty sold, and I feel like if anybody isn't convinced about it, we're probably going to be talking about it again when it comes out.
Exactly. Any other games you're looking forward to? I got a couple more, so.
There's probably a few things that I generally don't get, like, this Kirby hype is a rare exception where I generally don't get extra hype for games until they're, like, a month or two out.
Right.
I am still excited for Sunbreak. I really hope that fixes a lot of what problems I had with Monster Hunter Rise, because, like, it's still good, but it's like what we said about DKC3. I enjoyed it the least out of all of my experiences with the series. Mm-hmm. Some of those older games are broken as hell.
Yeah. Still look better than Arceus, though.
Yeah. This is correct. Not a high bar, though.
So I just got like a couple of small things that I'm decently excited with.
All right, go ahead.
Just a small one. Persona 4 Arena Ultimax was bullied into having rollback netcode.
Nice. Oh, wait, really?
Oh, yeah. They announced
that
they're adding rollback netcode for summer, and then they went, our overseas fans were very, very vocal about this feature being added. So we have decided to add it. Thank you for your enthusiasm. And that's great. That's by far one of my favorite 2D fighters. And
nice.
like, I'm just so excited to play as Kanji again. He's so good in that game.
I am also excited for that as well. I love the Persona 4 cast, so the idea of just getting to experience them in a fighting game, that's really appealing to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, their movesets are so fun. Have you seen the instant kills?
I have not. I would like to experience them in-game, though, so don't spoil them for me.
Okay, fine.
Oh, I feel bad, because Cuphead and the Delicious Last Course is coming out. Completely forgot. It's because it's been so long since they announced they were doing it.
Yeah, like there was a song at the Game Awards, and yeah.
Yeah, oh, I love how much respect it got. That made me so happy.
Yes.
Not only the song, but that old school trailer, like, added 2 years to my lifespan. That was beautiful to behold.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just a super small thing that I just remembered as well.
Okay.
I didn't have very many video games growing up. I never got to experience Mario Kart, but I did get to experience Mickey Mouse Speedway growing up.
Oh, did you know that's a rare game?
It's a Rare game?
Mickey Speedway USA? So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was made by Rare.
Yeah, so it's that Disney racing game that they announced in the direct. I'm actually low-key excited for.
Wait, you're very excited to play as known stock car racer Mulan?
Absolutely. Well, is it the cartoon Mulan or the modern one?
Oh, it's the cartoon. I saw it.
Okay,
she was in the game. So
yeah, Mulan's one of my favorite Disney movies. So absolutely.
Okay, good.
Any other things you're looking forward to?
Yeah, just one more thing here. So Capcom had a big announcement, and that was Street Fighter 6.
Oh right, yeah.
And they made Ryu hot.
Very, yes, I saw that.
And that's about all I care about because they only showed a teaser. So, whatever. But they announced right before that something I care about much more, and that is the Capcom Fighting Collection.
Was that the one with all the Darksiders games? I remember seeing that.
5 Darkstalkers titles.
Stalkers, sorry.
Red Earth. Are you familiar at all with Red Earth?
That's the mech thing?
No, that's Cyberbots.
That's Cyberbots. Okay, then, yeah, I remember.
Red Earth is the fantasy sort of spiritual successor to Street Fighter 1. Where it's a single-player focused fighting game, where you level up one specific character, and through every fight you win against unique bosses that you fight nowhere else, you gain special moves.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a fascinating concept with some amazing sprite work. It's where that one buff lion guy with the giant sword is from.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I remember.
So it's 5 Darkstalkers. I love Darkstalkers, including 2 that were only released in Japan.
Oh, damn, really?
Yeah. They're just remixes on older ones, but yeah, they were Japan exclusive until now. And they were the best ones, supposedly. And they were like Japan-only PSP games.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, cool.
So those, Red Earth, Cyberbots, Puzzle Fighter, which is just a great time.
Yeah, that got a laugh out of me, just realizing what I was looking at.
And Pocket Fighter, which is basically Capcom going, whatever, what the hell, and using the Puzzle Fighter sprites in a fighting game where it's just absolute madness and chaos. Like, Dan has an attack where he uses the soul of his father wearing a Tengu mask as a bludgeon. Zangief has a super where he's reading a newspaper and he gets upset and he flips a table at you. It is just chibi gag sprites with all these little puzzle elements flying around and you collect them. It is a dumb nonsense game, and I am so happy that all of these are getting rollback netcode.
They all are?
Yeah.
Man, let Capcom make the next Smash Brothers, please.
No, Street Fighter V's netcode was not good.
Well, yeah, but they've learned their lesson since then. I feel confident saying.
Oh no, is gone. You are right. But yeah, this game in specific is so reverent to the history of fighting games, and it's lesser-known fighting games that really inspired a lot. Like, I think the only big one that's, like, lesser-known but was influential that's missing is probably JoJo Heritage for the Future. And that's a big licensing issue, so.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's awesome. I've always liked how Capcom handles their legacy content like that. They always seem to... I've never had complaints about trying to find something old of theirs.
Yes. Literally the only exception to me was Darkstalkers.
And now they've fixed that.
Yeah. And then licensed stuff like Marvel 2 and JoJo, but...
Yeah, the Marvel stuff's a whole other...
What are you going to do? But yeah. Hell, the Disney Afternoon Collection exists, and I never think that would be a thing. But yeah, that's it for gaming news that I'm looking forward to in the future. What you working on?
I did think of one last one really quick.
Okay. Retract that statement. What's your last thing?
Yeah, just one more small thing. Another really big childhood game for me was Lego Star Wars. Like, way before the Lego games kind of got oversaturated, that game was the perfect game to play with people that didn't really know video games that well.
You're correct.
Well, the series still is. Like, it's a fantastic co-op game. It's just like an introduction of, like, loved one, a sister or a girlfriend or something like that. Just put them in front of that and you'll have a fantastic time.
Yes.
And so, the Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, I am legitimately excited for. That is a nostalgic blast from the past that not only... It's bringing back a lot of the Lego charm that was kind of missing in the newer games. Like, they got the Lego voice kind of. I really didn't like when they started, like, giving the actual, like, voices from the movies.
Right.
But they still got that, like, weird humor of just like, Vader cuts off Luke's arm, and Vader just kind of takes off his own arm and offers it to him as a replacement. I just love Lego game humor.
Yes.
So much. It's perfect slapstick.
Yes.
And it doubles as being probably a way of enjoying the sequel trilogy in a way that I enjoy more than actually watching the sequel trilogy. So there you go.
You know what? I haven't seen the last 2 movies of that, so I think experiencing them as Lego games would be a good idea.
Oh, yes, do it.
And that's going to be my only exposure.
I'd say that's the smartest thing to do.
Well, let's do it. Let's make a podcast where I try to give you the plot of those 2 movies solely through the Lego interpretation.
Oh, absolutely. I'm 100% down for that.
Yeah, let's do it.
I can try to explain the plot of Final Fantasy games based on solely experiencing them for Dissidia. So yeah, what you working on now?
Okay. By the time this is out, I'll probably have a video on Team Fortress 2 out.
Yes!
And
solid game.
That's been a long, long time coming. And the reason is because my wonderful editor, we went to the idea of like, okay, we could do it like this, but Team Fortress 2 is a pain in the ass to record footage for. It is so easy to get into a random game. It is so hard to get a group of people together in a unique server to do specific actions.
Yes.
So he decided to learn SFM.
Oh, no, you didn't.
So look forward to a lot of really high production value.
Oh, holy shit. Damn.
No, we've been
Hats
coordinating
off.
this. He's been doing an amazing job. He's the one who filmed the live action bits that weren't me of the Spampton video.
Also another 10 out of 10.
Yeah, so...
Like, damn, your production value is going insane. Well done.
Oh, yeah. I have a lot of things planned that are just really nice things. And it's going to be sad when I just do a nice little video. And it's like,
What's special about this one? Oh, I just wanted to talk about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that cute video is, I'm just going to talk about Pikachu for a while.
Nice.
And why I think that he is a perfect mascot and what that means. Because I feel like everyone talks around Pikachu. Like, you see Pikachu and go, yeah, it's Pikachu. But you don't really talk about why he's so good and why he's so successful and what his character does and how it reflects the Pokemon series. It's just like, yeah, it's Pikachu. And I wanted to dissect that a bit.
Never really thought about it before, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And that's a shorter video, but it goes in depth on a lot of thoughts of like how I feel Pikachu reflects it from a gameplay perspective, from a design perspective, from a character perspective, and what makes him the perfect ambassador for Pokemon.
Looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
That is I didn't even consider the idea before now, but now I'm just going like, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you see him as a symbol so much. And not really as you don't even consider, Pikachu is also a character.
Yeah. Like, do you ever consider that you get him right before a gym where he's useless?
True.
Yeah. That encourages team building. That's a little sample. That's good. And yeah, mostly I'm doing a bunch of character studies going up. So I have Pikachu, and then I have 2 other Nintendo characters featured in Smash Brothers that I'm going to take deep dives into. So please look forward to those.
I think I know both of them, and I will pair it and say, yeah, those are worth looking forward to.
Yes. It's not Snake, amazingly, but that is currently what is going on with me. What's up with you?
A couple of small things. I'm still working with Dragon's Master just to write and edit countdowns for that channel, which has been great fun. I used to make countdowns way back before I even had the Duke of Dorks channel. It's been a nice nostalgia trip of oh yeah, I remember making these overlays. This is just nice and charming.
I love lists.
Unironically,
I love lists.
No, same. A lot of people give him flack for just being like, oh yeah, that's lazy content, but you can make them lazily.
Yes.
But it's not bad for something simple to be fun. It's the Kirby effect. Kirby's not a very complicated game, but it's just delightful.
Yeah, it's what you do with it. You can make...
It's a conversation starter. Gets you thinking about something.
Mm-hmm. You can make the most simple platformer, you can make the most simple shooter, and there's nothing inherently exciting about those. It's what you do with it.
And on top of that video. I'm in the process of trying to get Peasant's Perspective back up and running.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing like mid-month live streams and just kind of handling it through that. I feel like the live stream form is just an easier way of doing that, because when I quit it before, it was because it's just overwhelming getting like
it fully edited.
Literally 100 submissions. Be like, I'm going to feel bad if I miss any of these.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm settling on something that I think is going to work moving forward, and hopefully I can get something together with that.
Nice.
I talked about the other M video that will someday see the light of day. It's like 16 pages long right now, that script. I really like it, but it's
oh, dude, I feel you. I have
monolith.
like 3 passion project scripts that I'm like, someday.
Well, it's always the things that I dislike the most that I'm able to write the longest about. Not only do it's that caring about something you lost that's like, okay, I'm going to go crazy. That's why Star Wars long essays are so ridiculous.
Yeah, I can see that.
I will say, this will kind of give it away, but I kind of love just like the vague teases. I posted a teaser of an artwork I've actually shown you of the next Smash Brothers character concept.
Yes.
I was doing. That's why I've been playing a lot of Kirby games, which kind of gives that away, but
oh shit.
I am very happy with how it's turning out.
You're doing a video on Mr. Duder?
Exactly.
Yo, you can't snoot the dude.
He'd be an S tier without hesitation, both in terms of competitive style and our own design tier list.
I know, perfect.
Then the last bit of project I'm working on, I've been trying to write this thing about, it's a series I've been making for a while, talking more about internet communication and just stuff of that nature. That is impossible to write for. I'm going to finish it eventually, but it is so hard to write a video talking about the internet, because A, there's no visual aids for that, and B, it's impossible to like view it from an outside perspective because you're limited by your own, and I haven't found out a way to like get around that yet.
Yeah.
So I'll finish that video eventually, but want to use the platform to do a little bit of good.
Yeah, I'm very
Whatever small way I
interested
can.
in hearing and learning about that more and seeing what you come up with. Meanwhile, I will continue talking about Nintendo characters and overanalyzing them.
I will see here, the first couple episodes are going to be more just laying groundwork for stuff.
Okay.
So what I'm talking about is how people can't hear you when you're talking online, and people don't really respect how much that changes how we view each other. Like, you can't use sarcasm, the tone of your voice, how aggressive or intelligent you are is completely decided by your reader, and lots of people don't seem to realize that, and don't care, and kind of shoot themselves in the foot, which is kind of tragic.
Yeah, it's a shame.
The amount of times I've seen someone drive people into disliking the thing they love, or actively harm their own cause because of how they treat their opposition, it's completely unavoidable, because you just don't be rude to each other. If you're typing in a way you wouldn't speak in person, that's gonna come across the same way as if you were speaking in person. You just don't see the reaction. It's a complicated topic that I've been struggling to word properly, but
yeah.
You get what I'm saying.
Yes.
It's very hard to talk about that without I'm trying to avoid sounding like I'm lecturing people how they should talk, and that's really hard.
Well, no, you're just telling people that they talk wrong and that they should speak in the way that you do, because you know best. Because you have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's kind of the whole problem.
Look, dude, the fact of the matter is you know best, you have a platform, and you should know how to speak. And because I agree with you, we're best friends now, and you agree with my opinions.
Oh yeah, the videos I'll make about parasocial relationship stuff are a whole other can of worms, so we'll get to that eventually in the years to come.
No, I want it now. And you, my friend, will support me.
Oh god. I miss having lungs.
They're nice, let me tell you.
They're very nice. You don't know a good thing until it's gone.
Yeah, they breathe easy. So, we've been going for quite some time, and, we've talked about our games, we've talked about ourselves, but are you ready for the bonus stage?
Welcome to Bonus Stage!
So for this little segment here, like we were talking about at the beginning, like oftentimes we don't have avenues to talk about a lot of the games we discuss just because our content takes a long time to make and that won't be successful. A further exemplified problem of that way is that if we were to make something that is not video games, like that's a whole other can of worms, an entire extra level of just like, yeah, don't even bother doing that.
Exactly.
So we decided that it'd be nice to have a little bonus stage to just talk about something else.
Yep, there's more to life than video games, and sometimes we have to remember that. So
Yes.
we've given ourselves each one thing to unabashedly recommend to the audience at large and each other.
Oh, this was a recommend. I thought it was just a thing. Okay, it's a recommend. I still have a recommendation.
Okay, you can just talk about something even if you don't like it, as long as it's interesting.
I have conflicting opinions, like and dislike.
That is super interesting, and I'm all for it. You want to go, or you want me to go?
I feel another coughing fit going on. How about you go?
Got it. So anyway, do you like spiders?
No.
Oh, cool. So this is going to be really awkward then. Because what I would like to recommend is a light novel series titled So I'm a Spider, So What? Are you familiar with this at all?
No, but the title's intrigued me. Go on.
Are you familiar with isekai at all?
I know the name. And it's driving me mad that I don't know.
The genre literally meaning transported to another world. It's that ReZero Sword Art Online. Usually someone dies and is reincarnated into a body in another world.
Gotcha.
This is that, but the hook is that it is a lonely gamer girl, like just full hikikomori, and she gets reincarnated into a fantasy video game world as the level 1 ad for a raid boss.
Ha!
And it is a tiny, tiny spider, or not so tiny, it's like a foot tall. And this is her quest to game the system, essentially, and establish a new life in this world. And using her knowledge as a gamer, as big gamer brain, she is able to abuse the systems of the games and go, like, wow, the enemies have all these unique skills. It sure would be a shame if someone had human intelligence and was able to abuse them and evolve like a Pokemon and become the ultimate endgame boss sort of deal. What I really like about this series is it does have those elements, but it's not constantly up its own ass with how clever it is. It is a story of survival, because it's a matter of, yes, this character really is as pitiful as possible. They have to use their very, very limited strategies in order to overcome even the simplest of challenges. It goes off the process of like making thread, making your web, expanding that web, how they feel about that web, using it to trap enemies. And you get every single step of the way, you learn every skill they learn, every deviation, every thought process. It's a really clever thing, and it gives you something unique that you rarely see in anime or manga, which is good monster versus monster combat.
Ooh.
And being able to see, because they spawn in the middle of a giant bonus dungeon, essentially. And it's a matter of navigating this labyrinth with all of these issues, so you get to see, like, giant spider versus giant frog that spits acid. And you get to see the, sort of brutality of that, of just like, oh, the acid is melting and biting into the flesh of your opponent. It's not afraid to shy away from those features. It feels very natural. Wars of nature and animals taken into a fantasy environment. It's very celebratory of having a unique bestiary. Like, they have this one great fight against this army of apes with like giant crocodile jaws, and the idea of climbing up of a wall and trying to use your poison to hit them as this armada is climbing up, and as they get tangled in the webs, they climb over the bodies of those already trapped in and start throwing rocks and throwing parts of the other apes in order to knock the spider down. And it's so fascinating. But what really, really hooks me is its sense of character voice, because this is all first-person narrated as a stream of consciousness from the spider's perspective. And she is such a scatterbrained, constantly analyzing dork that it is incredible. It's like she's giving her own comedy routine to herself. and she is constantly self-aware. It's just a matter of, okay, oh gosh, it's dark. Wait, no, I'm clawing myself out. Claw, claw, claw. I have emerged. What is this? It's an egg? What is this? Oh god, that's not a hand. This is weird. This sucks shit. Is this that thing that's popular online right now? Oh god, no! And it's just this constant, rapid-fire stream of consciousness writing that somehow is able to completely tell the story of just the full environment, full battles, full thought processes, full descriptions. It's so fascinating as just a character study piece and has one of the strongest bits of character voice that I've seen. This was adapted into a manga, which is pretty good, and into an anime, which props to the girl who voices the spider. The spider mostly goes unnamed. It goes by Kumiko in the fandom, but otherwise that's just a nickname. The spider remains nameless. Mm-hmm. And her voice actress does an incredible job with tonality, just like bouncing between the various emotions, because that's like a solid 15 minutes straight of just you talking over animation. And she does an amazing job keeping up that energy. It is fantastic. They run out of budget like halfway through, and it has one of the strangest issues that makes the anime much worse. There's a parallel story. The girl's entire class actually dies in a freak accident and gets transported there, and they get more traditional jobs. Like, one is the prince, and one is a duke's daughter, and one gets reincarnated as a dragon, one's an elf. And they have a very traditional story, and in the novel, it's set up very nicely, where you get like 20 solid pages of Spider, and then you get about like 4 to 6 pages of the other party, and they're growing up in tandem with it. In the anime, it does that, but it's like 14 minutes to 6 to 7 minutes, so it's much longer, and they decide to start it about 18 years in the future when the plot is happening, as opposed to going concurrently and following a steady timeline. So you miss all of the character development of the human characters and just start with them, and they're sort of like very, very basic isekai rapport with each other. And it's
fascinating.
It's fascinatingly dull and stupid. And I don't know why they do this, because it eliminates all of the character from those human characters. Like, they are just their tropes, whereas in the novel you get the slow build-up, you get the slow knowledge of their thought processes. Like, I hate Shun, the prince guy in the anime. He is just the most generic character, and he has a sister who's, like, obsessed with her Oni-chan and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, I hate this. But then I read him in the novel, and it's like, yeah, so I was really freaked out being reincarnated as a literal baby, and I noticed that I had more knowledge than everyone, and I noticed that, like, I had no control except for my younger sister. So I decided that I would protect her, and that informs why she would be protective, because you get several pages knowing that, oh, they're incredibly close because he spent his entire childhood like a teenager thinking about how to protect someone younger than him, as opposed to being a little baby and growing up naturally. But that's just completely missing, so it's the most annoying shit in the anime.
Danger of adaptations.
Yeah, but like, I'm baffled as to why this decision was made. But Kumiko is one of the most enjoyable protagonists I've come across, and I adore that little spider. It is the best. I've seen the anime's current 24-episode run, and I've read the first 2 novels because I enjoyed what was there of the character so much, and I did my research to know, no, it mostly focuses on the spider. I wholeheartedly recommend this to you if you enjoy sort of a different take on combat and fantasy world building, and if you really, really want a good main character to latch onto without the sort of usual pandering. And this is just a nice story, because this is developed from a web novel into a real novel, into a manga, into an anime. It's come full circle from the smallest, most humble of beginnings for the author They just wrapped up the final novel at the start of this year, and I'm looking forward to going through the full series.
Nice. Yeah, you piqued my interest with the mentioning the bestiary and how well it's fleshed out. I love a good bestiary.
Yes. I do love all of the animals and all of the various beasts and, like, the weight that it comes to, because eventually there's a fight with a dragon, and it's like a dragon that's mixed with a wolf and has the elemental power of earth, and they go all the way that they can with that fight.
Oh yeah, that's a Monster Hunter design right there.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to look it up, it's called Araba, A-R-A-B-A.
Oh yeah, that looks sick!
Yeah!
Is it bad that my first thought was, okay, what kind of armor set could I make out of that?
No, that's about what it's inspiring you to think of. So yeah, that's a wholehearted recommendation from me. What you got?
It's a bit pop culture. It's more the popularist of cultures right now. But I don't care because I'm a massive Star Wars nerd.
Cool, I am
the Book
not.
of Boba Fett.
Okay.
That was such a fascinating experience watching that show, being something that I've wanted for years. Because, like, you see Boba Fett in the original movies, and he's just cool. Like, he's the dude with the awesome armor in the back. He's the one that Vader's telling, like, oh yeah, no disintegrations. You get a sense of how important this dude is. And he just kind of goes out like a chump, and you just wonder, like, oh, where'd all that attitude come from? What was the hype?
Yeah, no, I always thought he was a nerd. I liked Django more.
I did as well. Two Pistols were cool.
Yeah.
And then you start getting expanded universe, and that builds him back up. But I was so looking forward to a live-action thing to really show off this character. And I got that at first in The Mandalorian, and that was one of the coolest I don't know if I've popped off as hard as a TV show, just seeing Boba Fett's grand return, and it was such a badass moment. And they show he's up getting an entire series, and then it turns out the best thing about the series, the best episodes, are the ones he's not in. And Star Wars has this really weird thing that I understand, but they keep giving different pieces of any individual work to different directors. Like, the most obvious example is the sequel trilogy and just how that bungled itself, but they keep doing it with all their extended media, which leads to examples where, on one hand, there's this really cool, just in-depth look at, like, Tusken Raider culture and Boba Fett getting accepted as one of their own into it. It's really impactful, and it's so good world building, it's good character building, it's just all around amazing. And then the episode after that is directed by the same person that made Spy Kids. And no disrespect to Spy Kids, I love Spy Kids.
I was going to say, are you dissing Spy Kids?
No, not at all. That is one of my favorite movies from my childhood, but it's a very specific kind of quality, Spy Kids.
No, you're correct.
Like, if I'm watching Spy Kids, I know to expect that, oh yeah, that girl's pigtails are helicoptering around and now she's flying, sure, why not? But then you go into Star Wars, which has generally had really, really, really solid world building. Lets you get drawn into these planets and all the sorts of cool things in them. Mm-hmm. And they bring in these... I'm gonna send you a picture.
Okay, hit me.
Save image. Actually, I can just copy this image. Tell me that's not the most out of place looking shit you've ever seen.
Oh, wow. Oh, ooh, look at those. Ooh. Those are some Power Rangers accessories right there.
I just don't... It's at least to a point that it's funny, just how ridiculous it is. But the directing style fits very well with those ridiculous-looking Vespas. They go into a chase scene after that, but the chase scene is actually moving at like 10 miles per hour as you're moving past the buildings. It's the most ridiculous-looking thing ever.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And you go 2 episodes later, and there's somebody cutting a dude in half. It is such a split-tone show that it feels like different directors are just fighting, like, no, this is the tone that Star Wars should have. No, this is the tone. This is for kids. This is for everybody. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that sounds like Star Wars.
Small things like this bug me on a whole nother. I had a whole world-building rant with the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 last time where something just doesn't quite fit within a world. Mm-hmm. This is on a desert planet. Nothing shiny should exist here.
Maybe the problem is just Tatooine. Maybe we should explore
somewhere
else.
Yeah, you think? But no, they keep staying on Tatooine. Because of that, they keep changing it, and it's really lost the planet's identity. Because in the first movies, it's like, oh yeah, this is a very grungy place. There's slavery here. It's awful. But now there's like this high society, and street punk gangs that have the best dress and impeccably clean.
Aladdin
These are
could
all cyborgs,
take place
by the
here.
way. Yeah, that all these cyborgs, like, you have cybernetics and you live on a sand planet? Just what?
Yeah. It's awful. It's rough and coarse. It gets everywhere.
I don't know. It's part of me loves to see just different directors having different takes on the same media, because it's fascinating to see how different people treat the same thing.
Right.
But it's when different directors are in charge of the same narrative, that gets weird, and not in a good way. Because everybody has their own different direction that they're trying to steer the story into, to steer the themes into, the general vibe of the show. And you just can't have Spy Kids and brutal murder at the same time. That just, it doesn't work.
Did you end up seeing Star Wars Visions?
I did not. I was tempted,
Are you familiar?
But I know it, yeah, it's the kind of the side anime series they made alongside.
Yeah, and that is...
Just to have fun with it.
Yeah, no, every single one is directed by a different animation house. So it's completely different styles. Yeah.
I just need to get into it.
It's so unique, because it feels like that's doing the same thing, because, like, one is based around, like, Astro Boy and inventing a new droid and welcoming it into the universe and its self-discovery. Another is done by the guys who do the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure openings and did Batman Ninja. And it's very gritty, very excellent. One of them is just about a band on Tatooine trying to make it big. It's just a little boy band.
Nice.
Like, it's all these different stories within the Star Wars universe, all these disparate pieces just coming together under the umbrella of this is Star Wars. But Star Wars is so many things. This feels like it's trying to make Star Wars into one thing, but no one can agree what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And that frustrates me so much, because some of the directors, like, they just nail it. Like, Bryce Dallas Howard, the woman that played the protagonist in Jurassic World.
Okay.
Her episodes have been phenomenal. Like, there's a field of Star Wars, and she gets it perfectly.
That's her as an actress or a director for them?
Director.
Okay, alrighty.
Very talented woman. But then there's these middle-of-the-road directors that seem to be just given, like, transitionary episodes, and it leads to a lot of things just being introduced and then just developing off-screen because the other directors just don't care about it. Like, this Vespa gang right here, I don't care what the actual speeders are called, they're Vespas.
Yeah.
They're introduced as, like, these really punk kids, like, they're stealing things, don't care about anything. Then the next time they really have a character moment, they're, like, super altruistic and wanting to defend the people, and there's just no through line to that. Which, by the way, this is about Boba Fett becoming a crime lord. He is allergic to creating any doing any crimes.
Oh damn, Boba Fett's a Yakuza protagonist?
Kind of.
Oh, but that sounds great. I want to see Boba Fett just go around and go like
Yakuza writing.
I want to go. Boba Fett go. I will teach you how to be a better dominatrix. Come.
Well, see, if it was that level of it, I would love this series. But it's kind of just a milquetoast being like, oh yeah, this is we're trying to get Godfather vibes, so we want the kids to still be able to watch it too, and it's just kind of falls. And then they do that, and then they just have Mandalorian season 3 shunted into the middle of this. The 5th and 6th episodes are just straight up that Boba Fett is forgotten entirely.
Okay.
Which is so funny, just from a planning perspective. And they're also the best episodes of the show.
Yeah, I believe that.
And the dude slices a dude in half, and it's just, there doesn't seem to be rules over what they're allowed to show. It's just all on the directors, and I still had fun with it, but I'm so disappointed.
Do you think Boba Fett would be more interesting minus Boba Fett?
In this, yeah, actually, with this show, there's a lot of, like, pressure of, like, name recognition, like, yeah, they gotta live up to something. And they have cool moments for him, but they're also kind of trying to establish these side narratives at the same time. And they have to use Boba Fett as a way of establishing it, so he gets beat up a lot to, like, show these other characters power.
Is Boba Fett the main character in his own story?
No. Well, I don't... that's hard.
Is he by anything other than convenience?
Nothing really... Yeah, no, Yeah, nothing really happens in the show.
Is he the main character for any reason other than he is Boba Fett and has the presence of Boba Fett? We expect you to...
For the first 2 episodes, yes. The first 2 episodes go into a lot of where he was before, like being captured by Tusken Raiders and kind of getting ingratiated into their culture. That was awesome. I loved that.
All right.
If it was just that for the rest of the episodes, I would have loved this series. And then it just can't really decide... like, what to do with him.
I'm sorry, now I'm only imagining Boba Fett in Yakuza cutscenes.
That would be better than the show.
Just, oh no, they're trying to save us. What should I do as a slave? No, this is the perfect opportunity. He wants you to choke him with the chains. Really? Yes. You must take advantage of any situation. Do it, even while they're all watching. Okay. Good. This is the path of a true dominatrix. And then Han Solo hits him in the back and he goes, ah!
Oh, that'd be amazing. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about it a bit because it was a very polarizing experience.
Yeah.
I had great character moments on one hand and atrocious ones on the next. There's some cool action set pieces and then just absolute dog shit ones where you just have the entire cast just awkwardly watching a fight go on.
Is it worth going through?
I think there are a few moments I'd say yes for, but you're going to be disappointed at the end. Especially if you've watched Clone Wars, then definitely. But you'll also be disappointed by that at the end. They bring back a character I absolutely love, and don't really do anything with him.
Oh, that's a shame. I love Grievous.
It's not. Well, actually, well, no.
That was bait.
But yeah, being a Star Wars fan is weird. It's a Pandora's box. You're never quite sure what you're gonna get.
It sounds kind of bad.
Mandalorian I loved. I was okay with that. If everything could be as good as Mandalorian, I would be happy.
I like KOTOR 2 and the Gendy animated series. That's me and Star Wars. Everything else is okay, except when it's not.
Alright, I got nothing else to say.
Yeah, I'm done.
Alrighty. Thank you all for listening to the first episode of Design Dorks Gaiden.
Yes. Next one won't be as long.
Yeah, covering 2 months here, so bit more to talk about, and we didn't really... I feel like we constantly vastly overestimate just how much we can talk about random topics.
Exactly.
In future episodes, we'll have a comment section here, just going over any questions or ideas or just general trivia. I don't know, whatever you guys feel like talking about.
Yeah. Leave something. If it's interesting, we'll say it, or not.
Yeah. But for now, thank you all for enabling us to just talk about things. It's nice to have this outlet.
Yes, thank you. You have no choice in the matter, but we're doing it, so thank you.
Yeah, and we'll see you all again with this series next month.
Yeah. Bye.
Later, guys.